Chapter 38-45. Everyone could choose 3 types of dragon martial techniques. Other than the iron blood dragon physique and the void-piercing dragon shadow, Kong Shinmu began to look at the other types of dragon martial techniques. He had no idea what type of dragon martial technique he should cultivate. After all, he didn't know much about dragon martial techniques in the past, and this was the first time he saw so many dragon martial techniques in front of him. He slowly searched for the dragon martial techniques. As for the other young dragon martial artists who chose dragon martial techniques on this level, they were all young geniuses from the Grand Supreme Palace, and they had a whole new level of respect for both Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning. Of course, the most important thing was still Jiang Yuaning. In their eyes, Jiang Yuaning was the biggest reason why the Grand Supreme Palace could get first place. As for Kong Shinmu, he could only be considered a follower at most. Now these people were secretly discussing, wishing that they were the follower, so that they could get closer to Jiang Yuaning. However, these people didn't think that if they were with Jiang Yuaning, would they really be able to kill so many earth demons? If it was possible, to be honest, Jiang Yuaning wouldn't need them as followers, she could do it alone. However, these people were unwilling to admit, or rather, they didn't realize that Kong Shinmu, who was also a mortal dragon's inheritor, was stronger than them. At this moment, many people were observing the dragon martial techniques Kong Shinmu chose. They were originally curious about what type of divine dragon talent Kong Shinmu had comprehended, but they couldn't find an answer. Now, from the dragon martial techniques Kong Shinmu chose, they should be able to see something, right? Many people saw the 2 dragon martial techniques in Kong Shinmu's hands, the iron blood dragon physique and the void-piercing dragon shadow. The latter was still acceptable, after all, it was a movement-type dragon martial technique, and many ordinary dragon martial artists would cultivate it. However, the former was a little strange. Iron blood dragon physique, such a body-tempering type dragon martial technique, would anyone really cultivate it? Many people were confused. To be honest, even if a mortal dragon's inheritor cultivated the iron blood dragon's body to its peak, the dragon's body would not be as strong as a true dragon's. After all, the true dragon bloodline was an even more powerful divine dragon. They were born with extremely strong dragon bodies, even surpassing the inheritors of mortal dragons who had cultivated some body-tempering dragon martial arts. This made these young dragon warriors look down on Kong Shinmu. Originally, they had some doubts. Perhaps Kong Shinmu had some powerful innate ability that allowed him to be with Jiang Yuaning and shine in the demon-slaying experience. But now, it seemed that Kong Shinmu's innate ability was extremely weak. Otherwise, why would he need to cultivate this kind of body-tempering dragon martial skill? Kong Shinmu did not care about these people's opinions. Instead, he strolled around the palace alone, choosing all kinds of dragon martial skills. On the 5th floor of the martial skill tower, there were more than 1,000 5th-grade dragon martial skills. Of course, more than half of them were duplicates. For example, there were more than 20 dragon martial skills that Kong Shinmu had chosen, and they were all replicas. In terms of types, there were less than 120 dragon martial skills on the 5th floor. That was why these dragon martial skills were so precious. Kong Shinmu strolled around for a while, his mind wavering between the 3 dragon martial skills. After a while, he finally made up his mind and chose one of the dragon martial skills. Iron blood dragon physique strengthened Kong Shinmu's dragon body's defense, allowing him to last longer in battle. Air-piercing dragon shadow greatly increased Kong Shinmu's mobility, allowing him to attack and defend at the same time. It was definitely a dragon martial skill that must be cultivated. And the 3rd dragon martial skill that he chose was Roaring Sky Dragon Claw. Roaring Sky Dragon Claw. This was undoubtedly an attack-type dragon martial skill. However, generally speaking, very few dragon martial artists would choose this dragon martial skill. Therefore, in the entire 5th floor, there were only 2 books of this Roaring Sky Dragon Claw, and very few people would choose this dragon martial skill. The name of this dragon martial skill sounded very domineering, but in fact, it was not very useful. After cultivating Roaring Sky Dragon Claw, it could strengthen the dragon claw of the divine dragon body, making the dragon claw's destructive power multiply. However, generally speaking, which dragon martial artist would use hand-to-hand combat? Basically, it was a confrontation of innate power. No matter how strong the dragon claw was, in the face of tyrannical innate power, it would not even be able to get close, not to mention using the dragon claw to deal with the enemy. Dragon martial artists' strongest point was their innate power. There was no doubt about this point. It was the same for Kong Shinmu. However, his innate power did not have a special dragon martial skill to activate, nor could he cultivate a special dragon martial skill to strengthen it. If he wanted to exert the effect of the devouring power, he could only choose dragon martial skills like Iron Blood Dragon Body and Roaring Sky Dragon Claw. Soon, Jiang Yuaning came up from the 4th floor. In her hands, she also chose a dragon martial skill that specialized in the power of the moon. Kong Shinmu, have you chosen? Jiang Yuaning asked curiously when she saw the 3 dragon martial skills in his hands. Jiang Yuaning knew about his innate power. Therefore, Kong Shinmu generously took out the 3 dragon martial skills for her to see. Very good. These 3 dragon martial skills are more suitable for you to cultivate. Jiang Yuaning's eyes lit up at a glance. She knew that Kong Shinmu had chosen the most suitable one. Although these dragon martial skills were relatively unpopular, did Kong Shinmu need to cultivate any popular dragon martial skill? Of course not. The devouring power was a tyrannical innate power that no one possessed. Jiang Yuaning had never even heard of it. She had kept it a secret for Kong Shinmu. Jiang Yuaning was very clear that with this innate power, Kong Shinmu would be able to reach great heights in the future. However, she was still very worried. She was afraid that Kong Shinmu would walk down the wrong path. After all, the ability to devour the divine dragon's body was too powerful. If he could not control himself, it would definitely be a great threat to the entire Zhang tribe, and even the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty and the entire world. Do your best. Kong Shinmu nodded to Jiang Yuaning and said solemnly. This time, the people from the Grand Supreme Palace had chosen the best dragon martial skills. Although they could not enter the 6th floor, their starting point was already higher than the young geniuses from the other 4 palaces. If they were to develop in the future and still not be a match for the other 4 palaces, then it would be quite embarrassing. Therefore, whether it was Kong Shinmu or Jiang Yuaning, or the others, they had to work harder. Although Jiang Yuaning had settled for the 2nd best and chose the 4th floor's lower-grade dragon martial skill, it was very suitable for her. As for what dragon martial skill it was, Kong Shinmu did not ask. Anyway, it was a dragon martial skill that was suitable for activating the power of the moon. It could bring out Jiang Yuaning's strength to the maximum. What followed next was a period of immersion in cultivation. Chapter 3846. Jiang Clan, Grand Prince's Mansion. In a cultivation tower's cultivation room, Kong Shinmu sat cross-legged by himself, absorbing the spiritual energy condensed by the arrays in the cultivation tower to improve his cultivation. It had been some time since he reached the 1st layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, and his body had already accumulated a lot of spiritual energy. If he wanted to reach the 2nd layer, it would only be a matter of time. This cultivation tower could only be entered by the dragon warriors of the Jiang clan, and dragon warriors of the Dragon Ascension realm could only stay on the 1st floor. Even Kong Shinmu was the same. This was the rule of the clan. And the speed of spiritual energy condensing in the cultivation room on the 1st floor was obviously not as fast as that of the higher floors. Even compared to the 2nd floor, it was only half as fast. But for Kong Shinmu, this did not have a big impact. Because of his natural special physique, his rate of absorption of spiritual energy was much faster than others. Many dragon warriors who had just achieved dragon transformation did not even have the time to completely absorb the spiritual energy in the cultivation room on the 1st floor. But for Kong Shinmu, he could absorb as much as he could. This was also the biggest reason why he could reach the Dragon Ascension realm at the age of 15. Even if he cultivated in the outside world, his cultivation speed was about the same as others in the cultivation room on the 1st floor. The reason for this, Kong Shinmu naturally did not know, but it was most likely due to his physique, which allowed him to cultivate faster than others since he was young. This was what people called talent. According to this speed, in half a month, I will be able to step into the 2nd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. Kong Shinmu was very satisfied with his cultivation progress. Every dragon warrior had 6 hours of time to cultivate in the cultivation room, and Kong Shinmu was no exception. And in the rest of the time, Kong Shinmu would spend 6 hours cultivating at home, and then spend another 6 hours cultivating the 3 dragon martial skills that he had just obtained. Finally, the remaining 6 hours would be spent sleeping and resting. Seeing Kong Shinmu's strength constantly improving, and knowing that Kong Shinmu had obtained so many points in the demon-slaying experience, Kong Shinmu's mother Gu Yuera was deeply gratified. She knew that Kong Shinmu's talent was good, but with the disappearance of Jiang Longjun, Kong Shinmu's cultivation resources were constantly squeezed out. Even the cultivation resources that Jiang Zizai left behind before he disappeared were all taken by Kong Xinmu's uncle Jiang Rong. Everyone knew what it was for. It was for his son, Jiang Juanma. He had forcefully turned Jiang Juanma into a true dragon inheritor that was considered pretty good among the younger generation. It should be known that the medicinal pills left behind by Jiang Zizai all contained incomparably rich spiritual energy. If they were given to Jiang Shenwu, it would definitely be enough for him to soar to the third layer of the Dragon Ascension realm in a short time. But for this, whether it was Kong Xinmu or Gu Yuero, they could only feel helpless. Now that Jiang Zizai had disappeared, Jiang Rong and a few other elders controlled the entire Jiang clan's palace. Kong Xinmu and Gu Yuero could not say anything. Many elders had even announced that they would soon elect a new patriarch. As usual, the position of patriarch would be held by someone from the palace, and the most likely candidate was still Jiang Rong. But for this, Kong Xinmu did not pay much attention. He only understood a little bit. Apart from that, his original goal had not changed, which was to work hard to improve himself, obtain a stronger cultivation, find Jiang Zizai, and let his mother Gu Yuero live a better life. For these two goals, Kong Xinmu worked hard all the time. Because of this, he risked his life in the heaven-driving forest. In the eyes of others, even if they encountered an opportunity like Kong Xinmu's, they would not dare to grasp it, because it was too dangerous. If they were not careful, they would lose their lives. For example, when the bone-piercing winter spiders appeared, many people had escaped from that area. Even Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning had encountered many dangers, and were almost killed by the bone-piercing winter spiders several times. While Kong Xinmu was cultivating, the Jiang clan had sent out many people to search for the missing Jiang Cheng and the others. In this demon-slaying experience, the corpses of the other dead dragon warriors had been found. Although they had been gnawed by the monster beasts to the point where only their bones were left, they were still found. However, only Jiang Cheng, the thunder-slaying true dragon's inheritor, the clear-wave water dragon's inheritor, and Jiang Qiue's lackey couldn't even be found. It could be said that not even their bones were left. This situation was very similar to the disappearance of Jiang Xinyu and Jiang Luo. But no matter how the Jiang clan investigated, it was impossible to find out the reason. Many of the young dragon warriors of the Jiang clan who had participated in the demon-slaying training were summoned by the elders of the 5 prefectures and asked about the details. It had to be known that the Jiang clan did not have many true dragon inheritors. It was unexpected that one would go missing during the demon-slaying training. It was impossible to let this matter go so easily. Moreover, Jiang Cheng's father had a certain status in the southern prefecture, and he had quite a bit of influence in the Jiang clan. How could they let it go so easily? Even Jiang Yuaning was summoned by Jiang Rong and a few other elders. But Jiang Yuaning only said one thing, that she had not seen the 3 missing people. Jiang Rong even asked about Kong Xinmu's talent. For this, Jiang Yuaning naturally could not answer truthfully, but if she did not give a clear answer, they would become even more suspicious. Therefore, Jiang Yuaning directly said that Kong Xinmu's talent was to absorb the enemy's power and turn it into his own defense. It was because of this that she and Kong Xinmu were able to kill the bone-piercing winter spiders. It was all because of Kong Xinmu that he was the meat shield. This kind of innate ability had existed before. However, what Jiang Rong and the others didn't know was that Jiang Xinwu's devouring ability was far more tyrannical than his absorbing ability. The absorption power had appeared in the Jiang clan before, so it could not be the reason for Jiang Cheng and the others' disappearance. After a period of investigation, Jiang Yuaning and Kong Xinmu, who were suspected by many, were completely ruled out. The reason why Jiang Yuaning was investigated was because she had performed exceedingly well in the demon-slaying experience. It made people suspect that she and Kong Xinmu had killed Jiang Cheng and snatched the earth demon's Fei core from him. It was not impossible, but unfortunately, both Jiang Yuaning and Kong Xinmu gave the same excuse when they were investigated. They clearly explained where the Fei core came from, so there was no reason to suspect them. The most important thing for Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning was to cultivate. Then, Kong Xinmu planned to wait until he had familiarized himself with the 3 dragon martial techniques and raised his cultivation level. Then, he would choose a few missions from the Jiang clan's palace to complete. On one hand, he could increase his strength, and on the other hand, he could see if he had the opportunity to meet other dragon warriors, so that his devouring power could be put to good use. Chapter 38-47. 10 days later. Kong Xinmu finally stepped into the second layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, which made him feel that the strength in his body had improved, and after transforming into a dragon, his devouring power was also 3 times stronger than before. Now in the early stage of the Dragon Ascension realm, the increase in cultivation base by 1 layer was the same as the increase in the Earth Demon realm by 1 layer, and the increase in strength was not particularly big. Only at the beginning of the 7th layer, the gap would suddenly widen. The gap between the 1st layer and the 6th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm was like the gap between the 1st layer and the 6th layer of the Earth Demon realm. And once the 6th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm was promoted to the 7th layer, the increase in strength was equivalent to the promotion from the 1st layer to the 6th layer. From this, it could be seen that the 6th layer to the 7th layer was the most important part of the dragon martial artist's cultivation, and the difficulty was also extremely high. But in any case, Kong Shinmu's strength had now increased by at least 3 times compared to before. Moreover, in these 10 days, Kong Shinmu had already read through the 3 dragon martial skills, and gained a lot of understanding of them, knowing the characteristics and application of each dragon martial skill. Iron Blood Dragon Body, devouring spiritual chi to strengthen the dragon martial artist's body, making the divine dragon's body more resistant to beatings. Roaring Sky Dragon Claw, able to use the divine dragon's sharp claws to break the enemy's body, and its penetrative power was very strong. Especially when combined with Kong Shinmu's devouring power, this method could obtain a miraculous effect. Sky-Piercing Dragon Shadow would be the dragon martial skill that Kong Shinmu would use the most. After all, this dragon martial skill could enhance Kong Shinmu's divine dragon's speed by at least 2 times, and even when cultivated to the great accomplishment realm, he could directly pierce through the air, leaving behind a divine dragon afterimage, extremely terrifying. After all, these dragon martial skills were 5th grade dragon martial skills. Although they were not very high-grade dragon martial skills, they were already quite good among the dragon martial artists who had just stepped into the Dragon Ascension realm. After the breakthrough, Kong Shinmu walked out of the cultivation tower. Previously, he had always kept a low profile, and no one had come to provoke him. After all, everyone knew that he had a good relationship with Jiang Yuaning. Moreover, he had helped the dragon martial artists of the Grand Supreme Palace to obtain 1st place in the demon-slaying experience. Although those people didn't think that Kong Shinmu had contributed much, it was impossible for them to cause trouble for Kong Shinmu. But today, the situation seemed to be a little different. Before, when Jiang Haixing was playing with him, there were 2 young dragon warriors from the royal palace. At this time, they were standing at the entrance of the cultivation tower, waiting for something. When they saw Kong Shinmu coming out of the cultivation tower, their eyes suddenly lit up. "Kong Shinmu, you're finally out." One of them dashed towards Kong Shinmu aggressively with a look of anticipation on his face. Kong Shinmu glanced at the 2 of them. He didn't remember that he had any interaction with these 2 before. They had only participated in the demon-slaying experience together, and were both young dragon martial artists who had just stepped into the Dragon Ascension realm. Everyone says that you're a genius, but whether you're a true genius or not, we'll only know after testing. The one who spoke had a look of arrogance on his face. "I heard that you chose the void-piercing dragon shadow as well as I did. As a member of the younger generation of the royal palace, I want to challenge you to learn from each other and see how well we've mastered the void-piercing dragon shadow." When Kong Shinmu heard this, he turned out to be looking for trouble. This made his eyes light up. Originally, he was a little worried. After stepping into the 2nd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, no one had come to exchange pointers with him. He didn't expect that someone would immediately come to his door. "Sure, what's your name?" Kong Shinmu didn't show any special expression and asked calmly. "My name is Jiang Wuchang. You'll definitely remember this name in the future." As the person spoke, a proud look appeared on his face. Kong Shinmu sized up this Jiang Wuchang and found that this person looked very ordinary. If placed in a crowd, it would be difficult to notice him. However, there was a hint of ruthlessness in his eyes. Clearly, he was not a simple character. He looked to be about 26 years old. Among the people who stepped into the Dragon Ascension realm this year, he was considered average. Kong Shinmu remembered that this Jiang Wuchang seemed to have obtained the blood essence of a wind attribute divine dragon. It was a 12-zhang long ordinary dragon. After thinking for a while, Kong Shinmu said to him, "Then let's meet in 3 days at the martial arena. I'll be there." After saying this, Kong Shinmu turned around and was about to leave. However, Jiang Wuchang immediately stopped him. "Wait, many people are looking forward to witnessing your strength. It doesn't seem appropriate if we don't add some excitement to this spar. What do you think?" Hearing this, Kong Shinmu frowned. Since this person had said so, he must have come with a purpose. It was not just a simple spar with the dragon martial skill. This made Kong Shinmu immediately pay attention. This guy was probably here to cause trouble for him. However, Kong Shinmu had not tried the sky-piercing dragon shadow after practicing it. Now that there was a rare opportunity for actual combat, of course, he would not miss it. Then tell me, how do you want to spar? Kong Shinmu did not agree directly. Instead, he turned around and asked. It's very simple. Let's have a spar. Whoever loses will be the other party's follower for 7 days. How about that? Jiang Wuchang looked at Kong Shinmu provocatively. Kong Shinmu raised his eyebrows. This guy seemed to be very sure that he was not a match for him. Why was that? Could it be that this guy was extremely talented in practicing the dragon martial skill? The conditions of the spar were not a problem for Kong Shinmu. Anyway, he was about to accept a mission to experience some actual combat in the outside world. If Jiang Wuchang was his follower, it would be safer for him. Of course, if he accepted the mission now, Kong Shinmu would not accept the missions that were too difficult, lest he got himself into trouble. It was not a bad idea to have Jiang Wuchang as an errand boy. However, at the same time, Kong Shinmu wondered if there was someone else behind Jiang Wuchang's provocation. Logically speaking, it was all thanks to Kong Shinmu that Jiang Wuchang was able to practice the 5th grade dragon martial skill, the sky-piercing dragon shadow. There was no reason for Jiang Wuchang to cause trouble for Kong Shinmu. Therefore, Jiang Shinwu kept an eye on Jiang Wuchang. There was most likely someone else behind Jiang Wuchang who disliked him and wanted to humiliate him. Sure, the loser will be his follower for 7 days. The conditions of the spar are very suitable. Kong Shinmu nodded with a smile and turned around to leave. His behavior made Jiang Wuchang and the other man a little confused. Wuchang, this guy agreed so easily. It seems like he is very confident. Chapter 38-48. Kong Shinmu naturally did not think too much about what Jiang Wuchang was thinking. He only knew that after 3 days, he would be able to comprehend the 3 martial skills to the level of proficiency, and his fighting strength would at least double compared to before. He still remembered that Jiang Wuchang had inherited the blood essence of the mortal dragon, called the Peerless Swift Shadow Dragon, and mastered the innate power of the wind attribute. His speed was already very fast, and if he cultivated the void-piercing dragon shadow, his speed would be even faster. However, Kong Shinmu did not worry about anything because of this. It did not matter if the opponent was fast, the key was his attack ability. After Kong Shinmu cultivated the Iron Blood Dragon Body, his Divine Dragon Body was much more resistant to beatings than before, and the attack of the first layer of the Dragon Ascension Realm could not do anything to him. If he went to the Heaven-Driving Forest again, he would at least be able to challenge the 5th layer of the Earth Demon. Of course, now that he was fighting against Jiang Wuchang in the clan's martial arena, Kong Shinmu would not use the devouring power, because it was not necessary. Even if he admitted defeat, he would not use the devouring power, not to mention that he was not likely to lose. After returning, Kong Shinmu continued to cultivate the 3 dragon martial skills. Iron Blood Dragon Body could passively strengthen his Divine Dragon Body, making him more resistant to beatings. The Void-Piercing Dragon Shadow increased Kong Shinmu's speed, and the Roaring Sky Dragon Claw was definitely his main attack method at this stage. When the time came, it would be fine if he did not use it, but once he used it, he must directly kill the opponent, otherwise, it would not be so easy for Kong Shinmu to win. The cultivation of the dragon martial skill was divided into 4 levels: human level, earth level, dragon level, and heaven level. After cultivating the human level dragon martial skill, one would be able to use the dragon martial skill preliminarily and display its proper effect. After cultivating the dragon martial skill to the earth level, one would be able to cooperate with the power of the earth to enhance the power and effect of the dragon martial skill. As for reaching the dragon level or even heaven level, the power would be even stronger. However, to cultivate the dragon martial skill to the dragon level, it was basically not something that the current Kong Shinmu could do. Right now, Kong Shinmu had not even reached the basic human realm, because he had just started practicing the 3 moves of the dragon martial skill. If he focused on one of the dragon martial techniques and focused on training, he might be able to train one of the dragon martial techniques to the human level. However, Kong Shinmu was training 3 dragon martial techniques at the same time, so his speed was a little slow. 3 days later, Kong Shinmu will have to train one of the dragon martial techniques to the mortal realm before he can duel with Jiang Wuchang. That was because his opponent had most likely trained the air-piercing dragon shadow to the human level. Its speed, combined with the peerless shadow swiftness dragon's talent, would be extremely fast. If Kong Shinmu did not have any trump cards up his sleeves, there was still a chance that he would lose. In that case, I'll choose the Iron Blood Dragon Body. Kong Shinmu quickly made a decision. The Iron Blood Dragon Body would strengthen the body of a divine dragon. Once his defense was enhanced, as long as his opponent could not break through his defense, then he would be able to remain undefeated. In order to quickly cultivate the Iron Blood Dragon Body, it was recorded in the Dragon Martial Technique manuals. One needed to do things that ordinary dragon warriors could not do. For example, there were a few methods. One of them was to be burned by the refining fire and use the body of a divine dragon to quickly cultivate the Iron Blood Dragon Body. However, this method was not suitable for Kong Shinmu. This was because in the Jiang tribal clan, it was not easy to find a refining fire, not to mention using the body of a divine dragon to burn it. If Jiang Zizai was still here, then the refining fire would not be a problem for Kong Shinmu. But now, the Grandmaster Refiners of the Jiang tribal clan's Grand Duke Palace could not be bothered to give him face, so he would not invite a snub. Anyway, there were other ways to cultivate the Iron Blood Dragon Body. He only had 3 days left, so he could only choose one of the fastest methods, and that was to let others attack him. In the process of constantly getting injured, he could improve. This was the fastest way to cultivate, but it was not something that an ordinary dragon warrior could bear. But for Kong Shinmu, it was not a problem, because he could use the power of devouring. As long as he had enough Earth Fey cores, he could quickly recover from all injuries. I'll go find Jiang Yuaning. Kong Shinmu quickly made a decision. Because in the entire Jiang tribal clan, only Jiang Yuaning and his mother, Gu Yuero, knew of his devouring power. But it was impossible for his mother to harm Kong Shinmu. Even if it was just to cultivate the dragon martial technique, Gu Yuero would not be able to do it. Moreover, Gu Yuero was not a dragon warrior. Even if she wanted to harm Kong Shinmu, it would be extremely difficult. So, Kong Shinmu could only go find Jiang Yuaning. During the demon-slaying training, Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had developed a good relationship. Their relationship was good, so it should not be a problem to ask her for help for 3 days. When Kong Shinmu arrived near Jiang Yuaning's residence, he saw her parents chatting in the courtyard. When they saw Kong Shinmu, their expressions changed. But it was not because they hated Kong Shinmu, but because they were surprised. They did not expect Kong Shinmu to come here. Kong Shinmu, it's you. Are you here to find Yuaning? In the Jiang tribal clan, the buildings in the Grand Prince's mansion were family units. It was a pity that Kong Shinmu's father, Jiang Zizai, was missing. Otherwise, they could be said to be a happy family of 3. 4,000 are now, Jiang Yuaning's parents were here, so they naturally lived with her. Yes. Kong Shinmu nodded. She hasn't returned yet. She should be on the way back from cultivation. Come in and sit for a while. Jiang Yuaning's parents could only be said to be ordinary members of the Jiang tribal clan. But because Jiang Yuaning had obtained the true dragon's blood essence, the couple's status had risen. The two of them seemed to be quite good to Kong Shinmu. They did not have any complaints. They were so amiable that Kong Shinmu wondered if Jiang Yuaning had told the couple his true strength. However, Jiang Yuaning would not carelessly say anything about Kong Shinmu, even to her own parents. Kong Shinmu could not refuse, so he entered the courtyard and sat down. He chatted with the couple for a while. Basically, it was Kong Shinmu asking for advice. Some of the questions regarding the dragon warrior's cultivation of dragon martial techniques were answered by the couple. Their attitude towards Kong Shinmu was quite good. This made Kong Shinmu think of his uncle, Jiang Rong. Jiang Rong used to be the same. He was very protective towards him, but ever since Kong Shinmu knew what kind of person Jiang Rong was, he never spoke to him again. And now, Jiang Rong was busy with the Jiang tribal clan's patriarch election. Naturally, he would not look for Kong Shinmu for no reason. After a while, Jiang Yuaning returned. She was surprised to see Kong Shinmu from afar. Why are you here? Chapter 3849. Soon, Kong Shinmu explained the purpose of his visit to Jiang Yuaning alone. Jiang Yuaning could understand Kang Xinmu's thoughts, because she was very clear that Kang Xinmu's innate talent could not be used in a spar, so if he wanted to win, he could only think of ways to improve his dragon martial skill and cultivation. In terms of cultivation, Kang Xinmu was obviously unable to improve. Now that he had reached the second layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, it was already very good. Therefore, he could only improve his dragon martial skill. However, Jiang Yuaning did not expect that Kang Xinmu would choose such a method to practice the Iron Blood Dragon body. Wasn't this self-mutilation? Fortunately, Jiang Yuaning knew Kang Xinmu quite well. She was also clear about his character and strength, so she did not refuse, but nodded and agreed. Then I will go with you for 3 days. During this time, I can also practice my dragon martial skill. Jiang Yuaning was worried that she could not find a target to practice her dragon martial skill, and it just so happened that Kang Xinmu came knocking on her door. She could be sure that after cultivating the Iron Blood Dragon body, Kang Xinmu could not be killed by her. Even if he was seriously injured, he could recover with the Earth Demon's monster core, and they did not need to hunt for Earth Demon's monster cores. Although 90% of the Earth Demon's monster cores obtained from the demon-slaying experience were handed over to the Zhang clan, the Dragon Warriors could still keep the remaining 10%. So now, Jiang Yuaning and Kang Xinmu each had more than 20 Earth Demon's monster cores, most of which were from the 3rd and 4th layer of Earth Demon. Even if Kang Xinmu was seriously injured, he only needed to swallow one of the monster cores to recover. All he needed was some time. The Earth Demon's monster core, to a dragon martial artist, generally had 2 uses. The first was to refine some dragon martial weapons, and the second was to cultivate the dragon martial skill. In order to break through the dragon martial skill from the human level to the earth level, the dragon martial artist needed to increase their understanding of the power of the earth. Absorbing the power of the earth from the monster core could greatly shorten the time for dragon warriors to practice the dragon martial skill. For Kang Xinmu, the Earth Demon's monster core was equivalent to his life. Even if he was seriously injured, he could absorb the power of the Earth Demon's monster core to recover. He had absorbed a lot of Earth Demon's monster cores, not only to heal his injuries, but also to restore his energy, so that he and Jiang Yuaning could hunt demon beasts at night with full energy. This allowed him and Jiang Yuaning to have a better understanding of the earth power than other dragon warriors of the same generation. Once their dragon skills reached the human level, it would be easier for them to reach the earth level than other dragon warriors. After saying goodbye to Jiang Yuaning, Jiang and Wu left the Dragon Palace clan's king. Jiang Wu immediately. The Yuaning and the Wu left's dragon Jiang and Jiang Wuchang's dragon Jiang. Yang Xinmu's together said of the Jiang said, dragon clans said Ling Wuchang, Jiang, Jiang and Yang. Jiang said, Kang and Kang, clan, Wang, Wu, Jiang, and Wang, king of Yang Wu. After the Yuaning and Jiang Wuchang left, a spy informed Jiang Wuchang and some others of their whereabouts. They left together? Jiang Wuchang was confused. There were still 3 days before the duel. Where did Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning go? He had already spread the news of his duel with Kang Xinmu, so even Jiang Yuaning knew about it. The others were looking forward to it. Everyone wanted to see how strong the long-lost son of Jiang Longjun, Jiang Zizai, was. Therefore, there would definitely be a lot of people coming to watch this spar. At this time, Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning left the king of the clan palace. Could it be that they wanted to go out and improve themselves in the next 3 days? Jiang Wuchang wanted to send people to follow Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning, but since they were all dragon warriors, they would not listen to him and follow them. As for the ordinary people of the Jiang clan, many people would be willing to follow them. But how could it be possible for ordinary people to follow Kang Xinmu? After all, Kang Xinmu was a dragon warrior. If he was followed by ordinary people, it would be too bad. There was no need to send people to follow him. In any case, Jiang Wuchang could only ignore the news because he had reached the critical moment of breaking through. From the first to the second tier of the Dragon Ascension realm, his strength would increase by at least 30%. In these 3 days, the main way for Jiang Wuchang to increase his strength was to break through his cultivation. Almost all of the dragon martial artists of the same generation were cultivating with all their might. As for Kang Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning, they came to the wilderness outside the king of the clan palace that night. They hid in a naturally formed cave and blocked the entrance with a boulder. After placing the torch in the cave, the two officially began the process of cultivating the dragon martial technique. This cave is not bad. The space is quite big. Enough for both of us to transform into dragons. The two were quite satisfied with this place. The results of these 3 days of cultivation should be very good, especially with Kong Shin Mu. They could cultivate non-stop at night. After devouring the Earth Demon's demon core to replenish their energy, the two did not need to rest. In any case, it was not particularly difficult to obtain the Earth Demon's monster core. With their strength, they could easily go to some of the gathering places of the demonic beasts and kill some of the weaker Earth Demons. Then let's begin. Kong Shinmu nodded and said to Jiang Yuaning. Then, he directly transformed into a black dragon in the cave. Jiang Yuaning slightly narrowed her eyes. She did not immediately transform into a dragon, but instead shouted, "Be careful, the power of the moon." She did not use the dragon martial technique at the beginning, but only used her talent to condense the power of the moon into rays of saber light, which swept towards the place where Kong Shinmu was. Because he wanted to cultivate the iron blood dragon body, Kong Shinmu did not dodge at all. He let at least 100 rays of moonlight saber light land on his divine dragon body. Dragon blood splattered continuously. Every ray of moonlight saber light could leave at least 3 centimeters deep wounds on his divine dragon body. Jiang Yuaning somewhat doubted whether Kong Shinmu could survive such an attack. Although the devouring power was very strong, he had to be able to resist it head-on and not die. Otherwise, he would not even have the chance to devour. Although Kong Shinmu's strength had improved compared to when he faced Jiang Cheng, Jiang Yuaning had also stepped into the second tier of the Dragon Ascension realm. Her cultivation base was much stronger than before. However, Jiang Yuaning obviously worried too much. Since Kong Shinmu dared to use this kind of self-harming cultivation method, it proved that he had absolute confidence. Chapter 3850. Inside the cave, Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning started their cultivation in full swing. Each cultivation session lasted for 2 hours. Jiang Yuaning would severely injure Kong Shinmu with the saber light of moonlight. Then, Kong Shinmu would absorb the power of an Earth Demon's monster pill to recover himself completely. After recovering, Jiang Yuaning would continue to attack him fiercely. About 1 day later, Kong Shinmu found that he had already cultivated the iron blood dragon body to the human realm. This speed was completely beyond his expectation. How could it be so fast? After all, not everyone could use the self-mutilating cultivation method. In 1 day, Kong Shinmu had been seriously injured and on the verge of death at least 10 times. If it were another dragon warrior, it would take him at least 3 days to recover from such a state. If he did this 10 times, it would take him 1 month. Compared with Kong Shinmu, his efficiency was too low. Now, Kong Shinmu felt very lucky that he had chosen the iron blood dragon body, because it was really suitable for him. Most importantly, he had not expected that his cultivation speed would be so fast. Although the process was very painful, compared with the rapid growth of strength, a little pain was nothing. Even Jiang Yuaning could not stand it anymore. However, she knew that if Kong Shinmu wanted to become stronger, he had to suffer more pain than others in the future, not only in the duel 3 days later. Therefore, even though she felt it was very cruel, Jiang Yuaning did not stop. As long as Kong Shinmu recovered, she would immediately continue to use the saber light of moonlight to hurt Kong Shinmu's dragon body. In the process, she found that as he recovered more and more times, her saber light of moonlight caused less and less damage to Kong Shinmu. 1 day later, when Kong Shinmu finally cultivated the iron blood dragon body to the human realm, ordinary saber light of moonlight could not hurt Kong Shinmu at all. In the beginning, Jiang Yuaning used 70% of her strength to attack Kong Shinmu's black dragon body, which was enough to seriously injure him. But now, even if Jiang Yuaning used all her strength, the saber light of moonlight could only leave shallow scars on the surface of the black dragon body. They could not even hurt him, let alone kill him. After all, Jiang Yuaning's saber light of moonlight was just a talent, not a dragon skill. Compared to Kong Shinmu's iron blood dragon body of the human realm, the saber light of moonlight basically posed no threat. Yuaning, use your dragon skill. At this time, there were still 2 days before the duel with Jiang Wuchang. Kong Shinmu wanted to break through his limit and see what level he could reach. In the process, he wanted to improve as much as he could. With the constant absorption of the Earth Demon's monster core, Kong Shinmu's understanding of the power of Earth was constantly improving. He even felt that it was not far from him to cultivate the iron blood dragon body to the Earth realm. Well, be careful. Jiang Yuaning nodded solemnly. She finally turned into a divine dragon. In the spacious cave, the power of moonlight illuminated the whole area. Then, the power of moonlight gradually condensed into the shadow of a long whip, which fell heavily on the black dragon body of Kong Shin-mu. This attack was the Dragon Skill Moonlight Whip. Although it was only a 6th grade dragon skill, it was completely compatible with Jiang Yuaning's talent. Jiang Yuaning's talent was also much stronger than that of ordinary dragon warriors. After all, the blood essence of the Moonlight Star Dragon that she had obtained belonged to the real dragon level. Even if it was just a casual attack of the Moonlight Whip, Kong Shin-mu felt that he could not resist it. This whip shadow speed was simply too fast, so fast that Jiang Shenwu could not even dodge it even if he wanted to. Of course, Jiang Shenwu wouldn't think about dodging at this moment. Even so, he was a little doubtful whether his black dragon body would be split into two by this whip shadow. 4,000. Fortunately, such doubts were unnecessary. After cultivating the iron blood dragon body to the human level, Kong Shin-mu's divine dragon body was not weak anymore. When dealing with various attacks, it could naturally form a layer of iron blood force on the surface of the dragon body, which could weaken any attack to a certain extent. Jiang Yuaning's fierce whip shadow fell on Kong Shin-mu's black dragon body with the infinite power of moonlight, instantly shattering the thin layer of iron blood force on it. Then, the moonlight whip left a long bloodstain on the black dragon body. This bloodstain was several feet long and at least 10 centimeters deep. The black dragon body immediately fell to the ground of the cave, causing the earth to shake. The black dragon's blood splattered on the ground again. Kong Shin-mu felt that even with the protection of the divine dragon body, his injury this time was more serious than any previous time. It could be seen how powerful Jiang Yuaning's attack was. And this was definitely not Jiang Yuaning's strongest attack. As long as one cultivated the dragon martial skill that was compatible with their talent, the combat power of a true dragon's inheritor would be much higher than that of an ordinary dragon's inheritor, let alone a heavenly dragon's inheritor. One could imagine the extent of Jiang Liushue's current strength. However, Kong Shin-mu was not discouraged. He knew that he would not be able to catch up to Jiang Liushue in a short period of time. He could not rush this matter. Fortunately, he had already surpassed Jiang Liushue in terms of starting point. At least, Kong Shin-mu had done his best to cultivate the dragon martial skill to the 5th grade, thus maximizing his strength. Especially after cultivating a dragon martial skill like the iron blood dragon body, it was definitely a huge improvement for Kong Shin-mu. After 2 hours, Kong Shin-mu absorbed an earth demon's demon core and completely recovered from his injuries. He said to Jiang Yuaning, "Let's continue." Again. Jiang Yuaning's previous attack had also given her a lot of insight into the Moonlight Whip. It should be known that she had only cultivated on her own and had never used it in actual combat. Most of the time, she did not know where the Moonlight Whip should land and how to exert its greatest power. Now that she was cooperating with Kong Shin-mu, she could properly study it and maximize the destructive power of the Moonlight Whip. During this process, both Kong Shin-mu and Jiang Yuaning's actual combat power was rapidly improving, especially Kong Shin-mu, whose iron blood dragon body could be described as improving at an extremely fast speed. With the understanding of the power of the Earth Demon's demonic core and the continuous recovery from the serious injuries caused by Jiang Yuaning, the iron blood dragon body was rapidly approaching the Earth realm from the human realm. Chapter 3851. Kong Shin-mu had the talent of devouring power, so it was a piece of cake for him to cultivate the iron blood dragon body. Although it had only been 3 days, even the moonlight saber light condensed by Jiang Yuaning with all her strength could not cause much harm to Kong Shin-mu. The black dragon's body was now as tough as steel. This was the effect of cultivating the iron blood dragon body to the earth level. However, if Jiang Yuaning were to use the moonlight whip, she would still be able to leave some bloody marks on the body of the black dragon. After all, it was a real dragon. The destructive power of the dragon martial skill was quite shocking. Now, if Kong Shin-mu were to deal with Jiang Wuchang, it would be a piece of cake. Originally, Kong Shin-mu did not have a 100% chance of winning, but now, even if he only relied on the iron blood dragon body, it would be enough to crush his opponent. Because in the situation where his opponent could not hurt him, Kong Shin-mu could use all his strength except for the devouring power to the fullest. The key was that Kong Shin-mu had to seize the opportunity to use the Roaring Sky Dragon Claw to defeat his opponent in one fell swoop. Otherwise, if his opponent was alerted and did not take the initiative to attack Kong Shin-mu, it would be very troublesome. The battle would drag on for a long time, which was not what Kong Shinmu wanted to see. He still had to make time to cultivate and complete some of the tasks issued by the Jiang clan. 3 days later, in the evening, Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning finally finished this period of cultivation. Both Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning had made great progress. Kong Shinmu had cultivated the Iron Blood Dragon body to the earth level, which was an unbelievable speed. Jiang Yuaning, with a good target, could constantly use the Moonlight Whip with all her strength, allowing her Moonlight Whip to step into the human level. However, the price that the two of them paid was 30 Earth Demon cores. In other words, Kong Shinmu had already absorbed all of the Earth Demon's demon cores. Jiang Yuaning still had some, but Kong Shinmu was too embarrassed to ask her for them. After all, he was the main beneficiary of this cultivation method. At this rate, it won't be long before the Iron Blood Dragon body reaches the Dragon Realm. Kong Shinmu thought. The cultivation of the Dragon martial skill started from the human rank, to the Earth rank, to the Dragon rank, and finally to the Heaven rank. With every increase in level, the effect would be much stronger than before. If Kong Shinmu's Black Dragon body had a defensive ability of 1 before he obtained the Dragon martial skill, now that he had cultivated the Iron Blood Dragon body to the Earth level, his defensive ability had reached 3. In other words, it had increased by 3 times. If he wanted to injure Kong Shinmu, he would need to use 3 times his previous strength. True dragon inheritors of the same realm might be able to deal with Kong Shinmu, but it was impossible for other mortal dragon inheritors. For example, Jiang Wuchang. In such a short period of time, it was impossible for him to cultivate any of the dragon martial skills to the earth level. As such, it was impossible for him to be Kong Shinmu's opponent. Even if Kong Shinmu stood on the spot, the opponent would not be able to kill him. Let's go back and rest first. I'll go watch the duel tomorrow. At the fork in the road of the Grand Prince's mansion, the two bid farewell to each other and went their separate ways. Jiang Yuaning was very satisfied with the results of these 3 days of cultivation. She was able to upgrade her Moonlight Whip to the human level, which increased her most destructive power to another level. Moreover, the main consumption during this period was Kong Shinmu's Monster Core. This made her feel slightly apologetic. After the battle tomorrow was over, she planned to call Kong Shinmu along to accept a more difficult mission. The mission reward was very generous, and for all the new dragon warriors, if they could complete that mission, the reward would be enough to greatly improve them. Kong Shinmu rested for half a night. Early the next morning, he got up and bade farewell to his mother. A duel? For 1,000? I've heard about it. Be careful. Gu Yuero reminded Kong Shinmu. Yes, don't worry, mother. Kong Shinmu calmly nodded. Seeing that her son, although young, was so obedient and sensible, Gu Yuero nodded in relief. But deep in her eyes, there was still a trace of worry and a touch of gloominess. Naturally, she was worried about Kong Shinmu's duel. The gloominess was because she was always worried about Jiang Zizai. Where did her man go? All of this could only be solved after Kong Shinmu's strength increased. Kong Shinmu set off towards the arena. Along the way, he saw many young dragon warriors of the Jiang clan pointing at him. Even some seniors with high cultivation had noticed the duel and gathered around the arena. If it was an ordinary duel between newcomers, they wouldn't bother to watch. But this time, one of the duels was Kong Shinmu, the son of the Jiang clan's patriarch. As for the Jiang clan's patriarch, Jiang Zizai, he had disappeared 10 years ago. Recently, the Jiang clan was preparing to select a new patriarch. Now, the meaning behind this bet was thought-provoking. If Kong Shinmu lost, then the date of choosing a new patriarch would be brought forward. And if he won, although he couldn't change the decision of choosing a new patriarch, he could buy some time. At least, he could prevent them from being so rampant. Kong Shinmu came to the arena. He saw that Jiang Wuchang, who had agreed to duel with him, was already standing in the middle of the arena. Seeing Kong Shinmu's arrival, Jiang Wuchang smiled faintly. You're finally here. He looked like an expert, but Kong Shinmu didn't put him in his eyes. Dragon Ascension Realm. 2nd level. Jiang Shinwu silently saw through the cultivation realm of the other party. It turned out that the other party was relying on the fact that he could improve his cultivation realm in the near future, so he came to gamble with him. However, this did not have much effect on Jiang Shinwu. Even if the other party improved to the 3rd layer of Dragon Ascension Realm, it was still impossible for him to be Jiang Shinwu's opponent. Moreover, Kong Shinmu didn't need to use his talent. Because, with the Earth-level Iron Blood Dragon body, he could completely withstand any attack from the opponent. Many familiar figures appeared on the spectator stands around the arena. Although Kong Shinmu didn't care, he still glanced around to see who had come to watch the duel. Zhang Yuaning came early. When she saw Kong Shinmu, she smiled and waved at Kong Shinmu to greet him. Her sweet smile made many people lose their focus. Coupled with Zhang Yuaning's rare light blue dress, she looked very charming. People couldn't figure out why Zhang Yuaning seemed to have a special liking for Kong Shinmu. Chapter 3852. Genius in a Second to Remember Love? Xueqi, providing you with wonderful novel reading. As the young and beautiful genius of the Grand Prince Mansion, Zhang Yuaning was loved and looked forward to by many elders. Moreover, many of the younger generation idolized Zhang Yuaning, especially after she obtained the true dragon's blood essence. She became the leader of the new generation of dragon martial artists in the Grand Prince Mansion. However, no one expected Zhang Yuaning to be so close to Kong Shinmu. Before the demon-slaying training, Zhang Shinwu had almost never communicated with anyone else. He had always cultivated alone. Now, Kong Shinmu was inextricably linked with Zhang Yuaning. Moreover, Zhang Yuaning seemed to think highly of Kong Shinmu. What was the reason for that? No one knew, but the answer was about to be revealed. Kong Shinmu was going to have a duel with Zhang Wuchang. During this period, everyone would be able to see what kind of magic Kong Shinmu had to make Zhang Yuaning look at him in a different light. Therefore this time, the younger generation of the Grand Prince Mansion had come, including Zhang Haixing. Zhang Haixing had seen Kong Shinmu in the Sky Exorcist Forest. For 1,000? Since then, Kong Shinmu had been with Zhang Yuaning. Although Zhang Haixing did not show it on the surface, he was quite displeased because he had always treated Zhang Yuaning as his goddess. Now that his goddess was with Kong Shinmu, a kid who had lost his father, and they were even so close, he could not bear to watch it. Although Zhang Haixing did not have any ill intentions towards Kong Shinmu because Kong Shinmu and Zhang Yuaning had teamed up to win the Grand Prince Mansion's monster-slaying experience. However, deep down, he still wanted to see Kong Shinmu make a fool of himself in this duel. That would prove that this kid had no right to be with his goddess. Apart from the younger generation, there were many young seniors and even a few elders from the Grand Prince Mansion. Naturally, Zhang Rong was the leader. Zhang Rong was Kong Shinmu's uncle. All along, Zhang Rong seemed to be very caring towards Kong Shinmu. But not long ago, Kong Shinmu found out that Zhang Rong actually had designs on the clan leader. Zhang Rong had arrived. His son, Zhang Juanma, naturally came as well. It was so much so that Zhang Juanma even nodded to Zhang Wuchang. There seemed to be some sort of relationship between the two of them. Although the look between the two of them was very vague, it was still seen by Kong Shinmu. From the looks of it, the reason why Zhang Juanma challenged him to a duel was probably because of Zhang Juanma. Zhang Juanma had already broken through the Dragon Ascension realm and reached the true martial realm. Moreover, he was the possessor of the true dragon's blood essence, so his strength was naturally very strong. At least, the current Kong Shinmu could not deal with him. Rice should be eaten bite by bite. Cultivation also needed to be done step by step. Although Kong Shinmu was very talented, he needed time to grow. Zhang Wuchang was his first opponent. Only by defeating him would Kong Shinmu have the qualifications to talk about other things. Most of the people that came to the arena today were people from the Palace of Grand Princes. As for the people from the other 4 palaces, after the demon-slaying training ended, they had already returned. After all, the elites of the 4 palaces could not always stay in the Palace of Grand Princes. There were still many matters that needed their attention in the vicinity of the 4 palaces. After all, within the territory of the Zhang tribal clan, the 4 cardinal directions needed to be guarded. Only a small portion of people stayed in the Palace of Grand Princes. It was obviously to track down the whereabouts of Zhang Cheng and company. These people naturally could not be bothered to pay attention to Kong Shinmu's small duel. Zhang Wuchang's words were actually reminding the others that Kong Shinmu was a genius. However, if he was defeated by Zhang Wuchang now, he would no longer be considered a genius. After all, Zhang Wuchang had already said that he was not a genius, and that he was not talented enough. If Kong Shinmu lost to Zhang Wuchang, didn't that mean that he was even more stupid? Simply put, Jiang Wuchang was using this duel to remove the halo of a genius from Kong Xinmu. It sounded humble, but in fact, Jiang Wuchang's words had forced Kong Xinmu into a dead end. Once Jiang Xinwu lost, it was easy to imagine what would happen to him. Within the Grand Prince's mansion, many resources would no longer be his. The most important thing was still the position of clan leader. Once he lost the halo of a genius, the matter of selecting a new clan leader would immediately be put on the agenda. Jiang Juanma, who was watching the duel, nodded in satisfaction. Jiang Juanma was very satisfied with Jiang Wuchang's words. He knew that if Kong Xinmu lost, then the situation in the Palace of Grand Princes would change drastically. The situation would be very advantageous to him. He would become the clan leader's son, and from then on, he would be able to enjoy the majority of the Jiang tribe's resources. Even if Kong Xinmu won, it wouldn't be a big deal. Since Jiang Wuchang said that you're a genius, isn't it normal to lose to you? Everyone on the stage could see the effect of his words, including Jiang Yuaning. She immediately frowned. She did not expect Jiang Wuchang to say such shameless words. However, she had enough confidence in Kong Xinmu. Sister Yuaning, who do you think will win this duel, Wuchang or Xinwu? Jiang Haixing came over and asked respectfully. Chapter 3853. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go? Xueqi provides you with wonderful novels to read. During the demon slaying training, Jiang Haixing was considered a member of the Grand Lord Palace, so Jiang Yuaning naturally had to take care of him. Love, Gobe, Small, say, Netko. However, after the demon slaying experience ended, Jiang Haixing kept circling around her, which annoyed Jiang Yuaning. Now that he had asked this question, Jiang Yuaning was even more annoyed. The reason for that was because he could tell from Jiang Haixing's words that Kong Xinmu wasn't a match for Jiang Wuchang. Of course the Divine Martial Association will win, Jiang Yuaning said faintly without explaining anything. Jiang Haixing was confused. Does Jiang Yuaning know something? Why is she so sure that Kong Xinmu will win? It was said that Jiang Yuaning and Kong Xinmu had disappeared for 3 days. Where did they go? Jiang Haixing was already in his 20s. No matter what, his future was not as bright as Kong Xinmu's. However, he did not want Jiang Yuaning to be so close to Kong Xinmu. It was so enviable. Especially now that Jiang Yuaning was so optimistic about Kong Xinmu, Jiang Haixing felt a little unbalanced. No matter what the surrounding people thought, the battle in the dueling arena was about to begin. The arena was so large that it could even accommodate 2 Sky Dragon inheritors in their dragon form. This made Kong Xinmu and Jiang Wuchang look rather small in the center of the arena. Let's start, Kong Xinmu said to Jiang Wuchang. He didn't respond to the other party's words because there was no need. He couldn't be bothered to waste his breath on words. Although Jiang Wuchang's words were very lethal, Kong Xinmu didn't take it to heart at all. All he wanted to do was win this round, and then drag Jiang Wuchang along with him to complete some missions. It would be a waste not to use his free labor. Of course, the bet behind this spar was not known to others. It was not made public. Only the parties involved and a few people knew that the loser would unconditionally become the loser's attendant for 7 days. Naturally, Kong Xinmu was too lazy to promote it. Jiang Wuchang also worked hard to portray himself as a young man who strived hard in martial arts. Even if he lost and became Kong Xinmu's follower, Jiang Wuchang had enough excuses to convince others. He admired Kong Xinmu so much that he followed him for a while to motivate himself. This level of scheming was truly admirable. However, in the face of absolute strength, scheming was negligible. In the arena, the two of them moved almost at the same time. Everyone wanted to gain the upper hand in a battle. But to Kong Xinmu's surprise, Jiang Wuchang's speed was extremely swift. Even though he had yet to transform into a dragon, he had still obtained the legacy blood essence of the peerless shadow and speed dragons. Once he started moving, he was as swift as the wind. In Kong Xinmu's eyes, he was only a blur. Love, Gobe, Small, say, Netko. Jiang Wuchang's speed was definitely faster than Kong Xinmu's. Even though he had yet to transform into a dragon, the sky-piercing dragon shadow that he displayed really surprised Kong Xinmu. However, Kong Xinmu did not panic, because he had also cultivated the sky-piercing dragon shadow. At least in terms of speed, he would not be too far behind his opponent. Jiang Wuchang's speed was so fast that the moment he made his move, the crowd in the arena burst into cheers. But Kong Xinmu was not bad either. Although Kong Shinmu did not focus on cultivating the sky-piercing dragon shadow, he could still use it. At least, it could increase his running speed by 50%. When Jiang Wuchang moved, Kong Shinmu also moved. His opponent was fast, but there was no pattern to it. Kong Shinmu noticed this, so even though he was slightly slower than his opponent, it was still difficult for him to catch up when he circled around the arena. Every time his opponent was about to catch up with Kong Shinmu would turn around or pause, allowing his opponent to charge past him. If one's speed was too fast and he did not control it well, it was very easy for this to happen. Yes, he was fast, but could he control himself to turn quickly? Without a doubt, Jiang Wuchang hadn't reached the level where he could use the sky-cleaving dragon shadow as if it was his own arm. Therefore, every time Jiang Shinwu turned around and stopped, he could only rush out. He couldn't control his body very well. After all, Jiang Wuchang's sky-piercing dragon shadow had not reached the level of a human. He only relied on the blood essence of the peerless swift shadow dragons and the sky-piercing dragon shadow to reach such a terrifying speed. Jiang Shinwu's nimbleness angered Jiang Wuchang out of humiliation. He felt like he was being played like a monkey. He roared and directly transformed into a dragon. Just like that, a green ordinary dragon with a body of 120 feet long appeared in the arena. In a battle between dragon martial artists, of course, one had to transform into a dragon. Jiang Wuchang did not think there was anything wrong with it. After transforming into a dragon, his body size had increased by so many times, so his control of his speed was much better. He would not be fooled by Kong Shinmu like before. Seeing this, Kong Shinmu chose to transform into a dragon without any hesitation. He could not fight against his opponent's divine dragon in his human form. Although the iron blood dragon body had increased his defense by 3 times, he still could not withstand the impact of a divine dragon. His opponent's body size alone was enough to crush him. Therefore, transforming into a dragon was the only way to deal with him. The black dragon was 8 feet long, much smaller than the peerless swiftness dragon, but its aura was much stronger. 4,000. It was not weak at all. Instead, it faced the peerless swift shadow dragons head-on. Both sides clashed for the first time in the arena. Everyone was looking forward to it. After all, this was the first battle between the younger generation of dragon martial artists. They would also be able to see the growth of this generation of dragon martial artists. But very soon they were stunned. Because just as both sides were about to collide, Kong Shinmu rolled to the side and actually dodged his opponent's divine dragon charge, letting his opponent fly over his head. Then, the black dragon turned around and grabbed the tail of the peerless swift shadow dragons with its claws. Although his opponent's speed was extremely fast, it was precisely because of his lack of control that Kong Shinmu managed to find an opening. If his opponent's sky-piercing dragon shadow could reach the human level, then it would not be so embarrassing. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. He had also cultivated the sky-piercing dragon shadow, so he naturally knew some of the flaws and drawbacks of this dragon martial technique. Before cultivating it to the human level, the sky-piercing dragon shadow's pure acceleration would be very difficult to control without sufficient control. Even if his opponent had inherited the essence and blood of the peerless swift shadow dragons, it would still be difficult for him to control such speed. Only when the sky-piercing dragon shadow was cultivated to the human level would there be a pattern and a method. Without a matching move, no matter how fast it was, it would be useless unless one could control it. Although his opponent's speed was fast, he was completely toyed with by Kong Shinmu. With his dragon claws holding onto his opponent's tail, Kong Shinmu directly threw him towards the ground of the arena. The peerless swift shadow dragons landed heavily on the ground of the arena, raising a cloud of dust. Chapter 3854. Jiang Wuchang was completely dumbfounded. He did not expect that Kong Shinmu would be able to grab his dragon tail despite his speed, and that he could not cause any trouble to Kong Shinmu. This undoubtedly had something to do with their reaction speeds. Jiang Wuchang's movement speed was fast enough, but his reaction speed was not fast enough. It could not be compared to his speed at all. If Jiang Shinwu had inherited the essence and blood of the peerless speed and shadow dragons, the first thing he would have to train was his reaction speed. Only when his reaction speed was fast enough would he be able to keep up with his body's movement speed. On the 5th floor of the martial skill tower, Kong Shinmu had seen a few dragon skills that could enhance his reaction speed. However, it was obvious that Jiang Wuchang did not choose those dragon skills. The sky-piercing dragon shadow had become Jiang Wuchang's first choice. The other two dragon skills seemed to be offensive and defensive. However, Jiang Wuchang had not used them yet, so Kong Shinmu was not very sure. After being smashed to the ground by Kong Shinmu, Jiang Wuchang was not dispirited. Instead, he quickly stood up and rushed toward the black dragon in the sky again. This time, thorns appeared on the green dragon's body, wrapping it like a hedgehog. This was a dragon skill. A defensive and counterattacking type of dragon skill. After cultivating it, one could condense the power of talent and condense thorns on the dragon's body. Not only could it defend against the enemy's attack, but it could also cause a certain degree of damage to the opponent. This was also commonly known as the hedgehog fighting style. The dragon martial technique, Thorn of Thorns, could basically be condensed by any kind of innate talent. It was a universal dragon martial technique, but Jiang Shenwu and Jiang Yuaning naturally would not cultivate it, because this method would be useless against experts. For example, Jiang Wuchang wanted to use this move against Kong Shinmu, but Kong Shinmu could simply ignore the thorns. One should know that Jiang Wuchang was far from being able to move the thorns. He was not even as good as the sky-piercing dragon shadow, let alone reaching the human level. Although the thorns were annoying, they were only a little annoying to Kong Shinmu. With the iron blood dragon's body, Kong Shinmu ignored the thorns and rushed straight toward the peerless speed dragon. This scene caused the surrounding people to be greatly shocked. The Thorn of Thorns, this dragon martial skill was still very troublesome. For thousand when the opponent activated the thorny dragon martial skill, they would usually not have any interest in it, because it was like a hedgehog. Even if they wanted to, they would use long-range attacks such as fire, lightning, and ice. But now, Jiang Shenwu wanted to rely on the divine dragon's body to fight against the thorns of his opponent. This was undoubtedly beyond everyone's imagination. Jiang Juanma stood with his hands behind his back, watching Kong Shinmu's 8-feet-long black dragon body collide with Jiang Wuchang. He frowned slightly. He knew that Kong Shinmu was not a fool, nor would he let his emotions affect his decisions. Such a person, or a fool, would never be able to reach the Dragon Ascension realm at the age of 15. Therefore, he knew that Jiang Shenwu must have a way to deal with the Thorn of Thorns, which was why he rushed forward like this. But if that was the case, what did he rely on? What a powerful dragon body! Jiang Juanma was very experienced in battle, so he immediately guessed this. Many of the elders of the Grand Supreme Palace also guessed that Kong Shinmu's dragon body was very strong, but the juniors did not know that. They thought that Kong Shinmu had gone crazy and was rushing toward the hedgehog-like peerless speed dragon. Soon, the two sides collided. When Jiang Shenwu collided with his opponent, he did not feel the slightest bit of pain. When the thorns stabbed into his black dragon body, they were actually broken inch by inch. Not a single thorn could pierce into his dragon body. The iron blood dragon body deserved its reputation. Even Jiang Yuaning, a dragon martial artist with the true dragon inheritance, could only leave a bloody mark on Kong Shinmu's dragon body with the moonlight whip of the human level, let alone the peerless speed dragon before him. When the two dragon bodies collided, Jiang Wuchang had no chance of winning at all. Howling Sky! Dragon Claw! Kong Shinmu roared in a low voice, and a pair of divine dragon claws were instantly covered in dazzling light. This was the condensation of the power of the Howling Sky Dragon Claw. This dragon martial skill could increase the penetrating and destructive power of any divine dragon's claws by several times. Even though Kong Shinmu had not cultivated it to the human level and could only use it in the preliminary stage, its destructive power was already extremely shocking. Correspondingly, the body of the peerless speed dragon was too weak. Jiang Shenwu's roaring sky dragon claw instantly pierced through the skin of his opponent's dragon body. Immediately, the boiling dragon blood splattered out and splattered all over the arena. Jiang Shenwu's roaring sky dragon claw pierced through the skin of his opponent's dragon body. The thorns had no effect on Kong Shinmu at all. Jiang Wuchang could not resist at all, and was once again smashed to the ground, dragon blood gushing out. Stop! Someone at the side immediately roared. That person was an elder of the Grand Supreme Palace and also Jiang Wuchang's uncle. Seeing Jiang Wuchang being beaten up by Kong Shinmu, he was so angry that his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He quickly stood up and shouted for the fight to stop. Jiang Wuchang's injury was not the end. But the point was that basically anyone with a discerning eye could see that Jiang Wuchang could not possibly be a match for Kong Shinmu, so there was no point in continuing this gamble fight. That elder's name was Jiang Ye. Jiang Ye's younger brother had died many years ago, leaving only Jiang Wuchang as his only son, so he had taken special care of him. With the help of cultivation resources, Jiang Wuchang had successfully inherited the essence and blood of a dragon warrior this year. Therefore, he could not just watch Jiang Wuchang be beaten up by Kong Xinmu. If the fight continued, the result would be the same. There was no need to continue this fight. But after all, this was a formal fight, so Jiang Ye could only glare at Kong Xinmu, then turned around and left with the injured Jiang Wuchang. Jiang Wuchang also knew that he was no match for Jiang Mo. When he saw Jiang Ye, his uncle, come out, he immediately stopped his dragonization. Only then did he realize that Jiang Xinwu's dragon claw had actually injured his chest and almost killed him. This was also on purpose by Kong Xinmu. If he wanted to kill Jiang Wuchang, he would already be dead. He knew the body of a divine dragon very well, so he naturally knew where the weak point was. The position of the heart after transforming into a dragon was the position of the heart in human form. Therefore, as long as the heart was damaged, the other party would die. At the crucial moment, Kong Xinmu deviated a little and did not injure his opponent's heart. Chapter 38:55. Kong Xinmu left the gladiatorial arena. Zhang Yuaning followed him. "You're really fast. That's your style." As she spoke, Zhang Yuaning's face was full of smiles as she walked up to Jiang Xinwu. "There's no need to delay things that can be solved quickly. That's what you think too, right?" Kong Xinmu smiled. "Yes." Zhang Yuaning nodded and paused for a while before saying, "There's a very difficult mission in 3 days. I want to invite you to join us. Come with me. The reward is not bad." "Only you and me?" Kong Xinmu asked. This was a crucial question because if there were others, Kong Xinmu would not be able to use many of his means. A difficult mission might cause some trouble. "Not only us, but I heard that the mission requires us to be divided into groups. The 2 of us will be fine." Zhang Yuaning pondered for a while and said, "Then let's go together." Kong Xinmu nodded. A difficult mission would be good for him to train, and the rewards after completion would be good. After the 2 agreed, they went their separate ways. As for the mission, Kong Xinmu believed that Zhang Yuaning could arrange everything well. As for the matter of Jiang Wuchang being his follower, he was not in a hurry to complete the mission since Jiang Wuchang was heavily injured. It shouldn't take long, Kong Xinmu thought. Next, it was time to prepare for the mission. Jiang Xinwu continued to cultivate in the cultivation pagoda during the day and the dragon martial skill at night. Right now, the focus of his cultivation had shifted to the sky-piercing dragon shadow and the howling sky dragon claw. This was because the iron blood dragon body was temporarily harder to improve. In a short period of time, it was simply impossible to advance from earth stage to dragon stage. Even using self-mutilation cultivation methods was impossible. Therefore, Kong Xinmu simply put the iron blood dragon body aside. The strength of his divine dragon body was enough for him to deal with most of the conventional means. Soon, he received news about the specific situation of the higher difficulty mission this time. It was a rescue mission. The location of the rescue was a small village not far from the Grand Supreme Palace. The nearest city to the small village was dozens of miles away, and the mountain peak where the Grand Prince's mansion was located was thousands of miles away. That small village was attacked by demonic creatures. Even the wandering dragon martial artists from some of the nearby cities were unable to repel those demonic creatures and even died. For thousands, that was why they sought help from the Supreme King's palace. As the protector of the land, the Jiang tribal clan naturally had to send some experts to settle the matter. The entire quest was divided into 3 parts. The first was to repel the monsters and find their lair. The second was to stay in the village to protect the villagers. The third and final task was to send a stronger existence to destroy the nest of the monsters, if there was such a thing as a nest. Even though it was a mission, it was divided into many small groups to act separately, including defeating the demonic beasts and searching for the demonic beasts' nests. This was what Jiang Xinwu and Zhang Yuaning wanted to do. However, this mission was extremely dangerous. According to the information they had received, the demonic beasts that attacked the village were at least at the 3rd or 4th layer of the earth demon level. There were even signs of 5th or 6th layer earth demons. It was said that some people had even seen the shadows of sky demon level demonic beasts. If it was a heaven fae, Kong Xinmu and Zhang Yuaning would not be able to kill it. Therefore it was extremely difficult. Furthermore, the wandering dragon martial artists from the nearby cities were helpless. Fortunately, Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning did not have to bear much pressure. This was because the Jiang tribal clan's Grand Supreme Palace would send 30 dragon martial artists to the village to eliminate all the monsters that attacked the village, as well as destroy any possible nests. Among the 30 dragon martial artists, Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning were the weakest. This was because the other 28 were seniors who had transformed into dragons long ago. Kong Xinmu did not feel any pressure. Instead, he felt his blood boil. He had long looked forward to competing with these seniors who had transformed into dragons long ago. Now he finally had the chance. With comparison and competition, there would be greater progress. Kong Xinmu attempted to use this mission to quickly increase his strength. After all, the gap between him and his goal, Zhang Liuxue, was still too great. For this mission, Jiang Yuaning had invited Kong Xinmu to prepare for a long time. Monsters referred to monsters that were affected by some kind of demonic power. Even a 3rd-level Earth Fae would have combat strength comparable to a 4th-level Earth Fae after being affected by the demonic power. Therefore, to deal with monsters, they needed to prepare some specific items. For example, demonic chi dispersing scrolls, monster bait scrolls, etc. These items were necessary to exterminate the demonic creatures. Of course, Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning did not know about these things. They were all suggested by Jiang Yuaning's father. Although Jiang Yuaning's father was not a true dragon inheritor, he was a mortal dragon inheritor. He had once gone out to exterminate some monsters, so he had a lot of experience. Therefore, Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning deliberately listened to some of the lessons from Jiang Yuaning's father. These things that they needed to pay attention to could save their lives in many cases. Logically speaking, it was impossible for Jiang Yuaning and Kong Xinmu to accept such a difficult mission. However, the higher-ups wanted to nurture Jiang Yuaning and observe Kong Xinmu at the same time, so it was good for them to take action. Originally, they were asked to defend the village. But the two of them were unwilling, so they could only go out and kill monsters. Kong Xinmu had secrets. Jiang Yuaning was also very clear that if they stayed in the village, Kong Xinmu's strength would be greatly restricted. After Jiang Wuchang lost to Kong Xinmu in the arena, he did not appear in front of him again. It was said that he was recuperating. After all, in the arena, Kong Xinmu's dragon claw had caused him to bleed a lot. After all, Jiang Wuchang was not Kong Xinmu, so it was impossible for him to recover so quickly. However, after this fight, there were more and more people who once again turned their attention to Jiang Xinwu. Many people discovered that although this person had only obtained the inheritance of a mortal dragon's blood essence, he was still a genius in the cultivation of the dragon martial skill. At that time, the black mortal dragon could defeat the peerless swift and shadow dragons because the iron blood dragon body had been cultivated to at least the human level, which was why it could avoid the attack of the thorns. These people did not know that the iron blood dragon body that Kong Xinmu had cultivated was not only at the human level. It had reached the earth level. Chapter 3856. A few hundred miles away from the Jiang tribal clan's Grand Prince Palace. It was a small village that originally had about 1,000 people, but after the invasion of the demons, there were less than half of them left alive. No one knew where these demonic creatures had come from, so they needed the king's palace to send a dragon warrior to investigate. It took less than half a day to travel from the Grand Prince Palace to the village that was invaded by the demons. The Jiang tribal clan's dragon-shaped airship was fast. At noon on the day of departure, the group landed near the desert village. A total of 30 people headed towards the village. Before coming over, everyone's mission had been assigned, so there was no need for too much communication. The leader was a powerful dragon warrior of the divine martial arts realm called Jiang Tuesday. This time, he was the only god martial realm dragon warrior to lead the team. 8,000. He did not understand why Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning were sent to participate in this mission, but he did not say anything. Everyone, do your jobs and move quickly. Don't let me see you slacking off. Jiang Tu roared and got everyone to rush to the village. Without any delay, everyone rushed to the village. Kong Xinmu discovered that the village entrance was dyed red with blood. There were many demon corpses, but there were no human corpses. The villagers' corpses had been cremated and buried. The day before, there was news that a few wandering dragon warriors from the nearby cities had helped clean up the demons that had invaded the village. Now, there should be no more demons left in the village. Fortunately, Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning's mission was to search for traces and clues of the demons, and try to find the source of the demonic aura's corrosion. If they were guarding a village, they probably wouldn't encounter so many monsters. Among the wandering dragon martial artists in the nearby cities, there were basically no powerful dragon martial artists in the divine martial arts realm. Even if there were, they wouldn't care about the survival of this small village. Therefore, the Grand Prince's palace was the only place this village could call for help. The Jiang tribal clan was guarding the area, so they naturally had the obligation to get rid of the demon beasts and demons that had been corroded by the demonic aura. Soon, everyone arrived at the village and saw a tragic scene. Blood was spilled everywhere, and many houses had collapsed due to the invasion of the monsters. It was not wrong to describe most of the people in the village as broken and dead. Many wandering dragon martial artists were still patrolling the village, not letting go of any demonic creatures that might appear. When they and the villagers saw Kong Xinmu and his group of dragon warriors coming over, none of them seemed to have a good expression on their faces. This made Kong Xinmu feel a little strange. He didn't know why they would treat him like this. After all, they were also here to help. However, he soon found out the reason. There were some wandering dragon cultivators in the vicinity whispering to each other. However, Kong Xinmu overheard them. It was actually because he was late. It did not take long for the people from the Grand Lord's palace to rush over. However, it took them 3 days to send someone over. If it were not for the wandering dragon martialists, the village would have been destroyed during this period of time. As for those wandering dragon martial artists, they wouldn't be able to obtain anything from this rescue operation at all. Instead, their lives would be in danger. In other words, those wandering dragon martial artists had come with the goal of saving people. In comparison, the Grand Lord's palace's dragon martial artists were indeed not as noble as those fellows. However, Kong Xinmu had no other choice. This was arranged by the upper echelons of the Jiang clan's Grand Lord's palace. If he had come alone, he could have arrived a day earlier, but what was the use of coming alone? Jiang too acted as if he did not hear the whispers of the surrounding wandering dragon martial artists. He entered the village to check on the situation. After discovering that there were no demonic creatures, he waved his hand. Everyone, move out. Those who defend the village, find a place to rest. If any demonic creatures appear, kill them immediately. The rest of you, search in the direction we were assigned. Outside the village, one of the directions was a stone forest, while the other 3 directions were deserts. Before coming, everyone's duties had been assigned. As the area was vast, there was a need for so many people from the Grand Lord's palace. After all, it was impossible to search with only a few people. The village had been attacked by demonic creatures from all directions. Most of them were not at the earth demon level. They had been corrupted by demonic aura and transformed. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for the wandering dragon martial artists to kill them all. However, since there were so many ordinary demonic creatures, there were bound to be stronger demonic creatures. It was just that they did not know where they were. Therefore, they needed people from the Grand Lord's palace to search everywhere. They had to eliminate the root of the problem. That was what the higher-ups said. Before Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning came, they had already decided to search in the direction of the stone forest. The stone forest was inaccessible, and there were often earth demon-level demonic beasts there. It was impossible for ordinary villagers to go there. Just like the driving heaven forest, it was a habitat for demonic beasts. However, it was not as densely populated as the driving heaven forest. After all, there was a driving heaven beast king in the driving heaven forest, and in this stone forest, there were only wild stray demonic beasts. It would not form a demonic beast group like in the driving heaven forest. Because the terrain of the stone forest was more complicated, Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning chose this direction. The other 3 directions were all deserts. If there was any special situation that required Kong Xinmu to use special means, it was likely to be seen by others. Together with the 2 of them, there were 3 other dragon martial artists searching in the direction of the stone forest. One of them was already an expert at the 8th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. He chose to act alone. The other 2 were around the 5th and 6th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. They also chose to act together, but they were separated from Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning. Among the 30 people who came this time, there were not many dragon martial artists who inherited the true dragon blood essence. In addition to the leader Jiang Tu, there was another young woman who guarded the village. That young woman was a genius of the Grand Lord's palace who had turned into a dragon 2 years ago. Her name was Jiang Fengqing. Jiang Fengqing was a serious person. In the Grand Lord's palace, she could be considered an expert with a promising future. This time, she accepted the task mainly to guard the village and ensure that there would be no accidents in the village. Not only did she inherit the true dragon blood essence, but she had also reached the 9th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. She was only a step away from the God Martial realm. After all, the inheritor of the true dragon blood essence received very rich cultivation resources from the Grand Lord's palace, far more than other dragon martial artists. Therefore, the improvement of her cultivation base was naturally much faster. Chapter 3857. Kong Xinmu didn't know much about Jiang Fengqing, but Jiang Yuaning knew a lot about her. Jiang Fengqing's father and Jiang Yuaning's father were good friends when they were young, but they didn't keep in touch much after that, which led to Jiang Yuaning's rivalry with Jiang Fengqing. Of course, these were not things that Kong Xinmu should care about now. The two of them walked out of the village together. After passing through a desert, they soon saw a stone forest in front of them. Countless strange-shaped stone pillars rose to the sky, standing on the desert. From afar, the two of them felt that there seemed to be some devil chi spreading in the stone forest. Along the way, they also saw many scattered demonic beasts, which were ordinary demonic beasts that had been eroded by the devil chi. They had not reached the level of earth demon, so they were easily dealt with by the two of them. They didn't even need to transform into dragons. The other three separated from the two of them when they left the village, and they didn't know where they were now. Anyway, Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning didn't want to walk with the three, so they didn't pay attention to them. The two of them quickly approached the stone forest. Soon, at the edge of the stone forest, they encountered the first demonic beast that had been eroded by the devil chi. It was an earth lion, which should have had an earthy yellow body, but now it had been eroded by the devil chi into a pure black color. And the devil chi that was constantly emitting from the body of the earth lion made Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning clearly know that this guy had lost its original consciousness, and was being controlled by the devil chi. They didn't know where the devil chi came from, but it could be seen that after being eroded by the devil chi, the demonic beasts would have an instinct to attack other creatures. Because of this, there were so many demonic beasts attacking the village, causing more than half of the villagers to be killed or injured. Kill it as soon as possible. Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning looked at each other. The two of them had worked together for a long time, and they already had a great tacit understanding with each other. Just by looking at each other, they knew what each other wanted to do. Kong Xinmu immediately rushed towards the demonized earth lion beast. Although he was in human form, he used the sky-splitting dragon shadow dragon martial skill to increase his speed by a lot. If they were to use the dragon martial skill in their human form, the effect would be greatly weakened, but now that they were facing a mere second-layer earth demon level demonized earth lion, the two of them really did not need to transform into dragons. One must know that both of them had broken through to the second layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. Originally, his strength was much stronger than before. For 1,000 he had improved a lot in the forest, not to mention that the two of them were working together to fight one. Kong Xinmu rushed forward and fought with the demonized earth lion. The demonized earth lion roared continuously. The devil chi on its body dispersed and condensed on its sharp claws. It kept waving its claws at Kong Xinmu. Every time it landed on Kong Xinmu's body, it caused a deep wound. However, Kong Xinmu's hands tightly gripped the other party's head, and he condensed a roaring sky dragon claw, which left a deep bloody gash on the other party's back. Next, his devouring power entered the other party's body, continuously devouring the other party's energy, including the devil chi that could corrode the devils. After devouring the devil chi into his body, Kong Xinmu felt a strange feeling. The power of this devil chi seemed to have a kind of magic that could make one's mind go crazy. Even after Kong Xinmu devoured the devil chi, he felt a desire to kill rising from the bottom of his heart. Fortunately, Kong Xinmu was able to control this desire and completely devoured the devil chi, transforming it into his own strength. Moreover, as he devoured more devil chi, he found that his resistance to the erosion of the devil chi was getting stronger. At first, he was really afraid that he would not be able to resist the erosion of the devil chi. After devouring the devil chi, he would also become a devil creature. Fortunately, he found that he would not be eroded, so he felt relieved. The next moment, Jiang Yuaning's moonlight power condensed into a blade light, pierced through the air, and directly fell on the demonized earth lion controlled by Kong Shinmu, cutting it in half. Kong Shinmu immediately retreated. Then, the moonlight power blade light arrived one after another. At this time, the demonized earth lion no longer had the ability to move, and was directly cut into pieces by the countless moonlight power blade light. Kong Shinmu stepped forward and took out the earth demon's demon core. However, he found that the earth demon's demon core was full of devil chi. This devil chi had polluted the entire demon core, and it was no longer the same as a normal earth demon's demon core. At least, for ordinary people, this kind of demon core polluted by devil chi was useless. But for Kong Shinmu, it seemed that this was not the case. He tried to absorb the earth power in the earth demon's demon core. Although it was the earth power polluted by devil chi, he could still rely on it to restore himself. His innate ability, which was the power of devouring, could transform the devil chi into normal energy to restore himself. This was something that other dragon warriors could not do at all. Therefore, for Kong Shinmu, this kind of demon core polluted by devil chi was no different from a normal demon core. Whether it was the devil chi or the earth power, he could devour it and use it for himself. Perhaps, Kong Shinmu could obtain a lot of things from this. However, now was not the time for him to do so. The demonized earth lion was chopped into pieces. The two continued to move forward. They had not yet entered the stone forest, and were only in the periphery. However, there were many demonized beasts in the periphery. Apart from the demonized earth lion, there were also a few other demonic beasts that had mastered the power of earth roaming around. Sensing the movement of the earth lion demonized beast being killed, they all rushed over. They were born with an endless desire to kill purely because of the erosion of the devil chi, so the battle was extremely attractive to them. Generally speaking, the demonic beasts living in the stone forest were relatively peaceful. After all, there were no demonic beasts in the stone forest, and there were no demonic beasts guarding it. If they caused trouble, it would easily lead to a fatal disaster. But now, these demonic beasts eroded by devil chi had lost their ability to think and were naturally attracted to killing. Let's finish this quickly. Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning looked around and saw at least 10 demonic beasts rushing over. 4 of them were earth demon-level demonized beasts. They immediately became serious. They had not even entered the stone forest, and there were already so many demonic beasts attacking them together. If they entered the stone forest, the situation would probably be even more dangerous. Moreover, the individual strength of these demonic beasts in the periphery was not very strong. Whether it was Kong Shinmu or Jiang Yuaning, they could easily deal with them. But if they entered the stone forest, the situation might not necessarily be the same. This stone forest was very vast. There might even be heaven demon-level demonic beasts in it. Chapter 3858. If they encountered a sky demon, Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning could only run away. However, sky demons were not easy to encounter. Moreover, they were not the only ones in the vicinity. In short, they had to get rid of the demonic beasts in front of them first. With that thought in mind, the two of them transformed into dragons. Without any hesitation, dragon transformation was the fastest way to get rid of the opponents and then take the opportunity to advance into the stone forest. Otherwise, the demonic beasts on the periphery would continue to surround them. Even if these demonic beasts were not strong, it would still be very troublesome. The black dragon suddenly appeared and rushed into the group of demonic beasts. Dragon Shadow, Roaring Sky Dragon Claw, and Dragon Skill were displayed. Even though these two dragon skills had not officially reached the level of the human level, they had already displayed extremely strong combat power. Facing these demonic beasts who were in the first 3 levels of the Earth Demon realm, every time Kong Shinmu used the Roaring Sky Dragon Claw, he could kill one of them. In the state of dragon transformation, Kong Shinmu could not 4,000 he was injured by such an opponent. The iron blood dragon body that had reached the earth level made his black dragon body as hard as iron. These low-level demonic beasts could not hurt him at all. Under such circumstances, Kong Shinmu was even more unscrupulous. He did not even need to use his devouring power. The Roaring Sky Dragon Claw continued to be activated. Countless dragon claw shadows appeared in the field and killed all the demonic beasts. Jiang Yuaning also transformed into a dragon but found that she had nothing to do. Those demonic beasts were all killed by Kong Shinmu alone without any hesitation. In an instant, blood splattered all over the ground. The blood of these demonic beasts was soaked in black. Obviously, they had been eroded to the core and had completely lost their self-awareness. Earth demon beasts were originally creatures without spiritual intelligence. Now that they were completely eroded by the demonic aura, they had lost all ability to think. After the 11 demonized beasts were killed by Kong Shinmu, he could only obtain 4 demon dawn from 4 of them. As for the other ordinary beasts that had not reached the earth demon level, although they also had demon dawn, they did not contain the power of the earth, so they were of no use to Kong Shinmu. In total, Kong Shinmu had obtained 5 monster cores. These monster cores were corroded by devil chi and were useless to others, but to Kong Shinmu, they were the same as ordinary monster cores. With the power of devouring, he did not need to worry about the devil chi eroding in these monster cores. Let's go in. Kong Shinmu nodded at Jiang Yuaning and took the lead to return to his human form before stepping into the stone forest. This stone forest was extremely vast. Originally, there were all kinds of earth-type demonic beasts living there. Moreover, many of them were peaceful demonic beasts. The most frequent ones were the stone men demonic beasts. There were many types of stone men in the stone forest, but each type of stone men did not like to move and were the type that liked to bask in the sun lazily. But now, when Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning stepped into the stone forest, they found that the entire stone forest had changed. As soon as they entered the stone forest, the two of them saw 2 stone men in the 5th tier of earth demon level. These 2 stone men were more than 10 meters tall. In front of Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning, they looked as huge as 2 buildings. Moreover, these 2 stone men were corroded by devil chi. The stones on the surface of their bodies were faintly black. As if sensing Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning's approach, the 2 stone men immediately got up and moved towards them. Kill! Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning looked at each other and saw the meaning in each other's eyes. A demonic beast at the 5th layer of the earth demon beast was still very difficult to deal with for the 2 of them back when they were killing demonic beasts. But now, both of them had improved a lot. They wanted to see what level they could reach now. The 2 stone men were blocked by Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning respectively. Transforming into a dragon was something that was inevitable. Otherwise, they would have been crushed to death by these 2 stone men in a matter of minutes. The black dragon surged, and relying on its extreme speed, it circled around one of the enchanted stone men, activating the howling sky dragon claw. Its dragon claws continuously tore through the air, attacking the enchanted stone men. Unfortunately, it was unable to break through the enchanted stoneman's defenses. These stone men were originally powerful demonic beasts at the 5th tier of earth demon level. Needless to say, now that they were corroded by devil chi, their strength had increased by another level. Even though Kong Shinmu had reached the 2nd tier of the Dragon Ascension realm, there was still a big gap between him and the stone man. As for the golem, although its movements were slow, it suddenly grasped a flaw in Jiang Shenwu's movements. As if it had seen through Jiang Shenwu's movements, it directly smashed its fist over and immediately blasted Jiang Shenwu's body onto a rock. The iron blood dragon body smashed the stone into a pile of rubble. The black dragon body was 15 meters long, which was much larger than the 10 meters tall stone man. But in terms of strength, it was still inferior to the stone man. Such a stone man had a strong defense. If nothing unexpected happened, Kong Shinmu would not even be able to use his devouring power. And the roaring sky dragon claw could not break through the stone man's defense. It seemed that he could only ask Jiang Yuaning for help. As long as he created a wound on the stone man's body, Kong Shinmu could use his devouring power to quickly get rid of the opponent. Jiang Yuaning obviously saw that Kong Shinmu's situation was not very good. She transformed into the Moonlight Star Dragon, and the power of the moonlight constantly condensed into blade light, forcing back the stone man she was facing. Then she turned around and quickly condensed the power of the moonlight. Moonlight Whip. The power of the moonlight condensed into a light blue whip that instantly tore through the air and landed on the body of the enchanted rock golem that Jiang Shenwu was facing. Moonlight Whip. This dragon martial skill had been cultivated to the human level by Jiang Yuaning, and it had begun to show its power. Moreover, as she was the inheritor of the true dragon blood essence, the might of the dragon martial skill was even more astonishing. Just this whip alone left a wound on the demonized rockman's shoulder. Although the wound was not deep, it already revealed the surging demon chi within it. Kong Shinmu did not hesitate and seized this opportunity. The black dragon instantly leaped up and coiled its iron blood dragon body on the body of the stone man. The dragon claw condensed the devouring power and instantly invaded the stone man's shoulder. The devouring power corroded the body of the stone man and immediately began to devour. Endless devil chi was devoured by Kong Shin-mu. After the stone man was injured, it immediately went crazy. A big stone hand grabbed the black dragon's tail tightly, as if it wanted to throw the black dragon's body away. Chapter 3859. Kong Shin-mu naturally would not let the other party get rid of him. Otherwise, he would be dead for sure. Without the effect of the devouring power, it was impossible for him to kill this demonized stoneman. His black dragon body completely entangled the entire demonized stoneman. The devouring power continuously invaded the wound on the other party's shoulder, absorbing the demonic chi in the other party's body. A steady stream of power was absorbed into Kong Shin-mu's body. The demonic chi could not affect him, but it could rapidly drain the demonized stoneman's power. Right now, the majority of the strength in these demonized demon beasts' bodies came from the amplification of demonic chi. Once Jiang Shenwu devoured the demonic chi in their bodies, they wouldn't even be able to display their original strength. The demonized stoneman was getting weaker and weaker. Kong Shin-mu was getting stronger and stronger. The black dragon body suddenly tightened its grip, and the power of its talent continued to exert. Compared to the other side, where Jiang Yuaning used the moonlight whip to finish off her opponent, Kong Shin-mu's side was in a much more tragic situation. Fortunately, although Kong Shin-mu was now injured, he could completely recover in the process of devouring the other party's power. Soon, the demonized stoneman that Kong Shin-mu's black dragon body finally lost its strength and fell heavily on the ground of the stone forest. It's about time. Let's go in quickly. I don't know where the source of the demonic chi is, Jiang Yuaning said worriedly. She turned into human form and came to Kong Shin-mu's side to support him. Kong Shin-mu also returned to human form and nodded. I'm fine, let's go. The two of them had worked together for a long time, and many things did not need to be said. They did not know which entrance the other three entered the stone forest, but they had not seen anyone yet. The two of them could only continue moving forward. Kong Shin-mu took the beast cores of the two demonized stone men. Although they were demonized beast cores, if Kong Shin-mu devoured each one, he would be able to recover to his peak state. Not only would his body be filled with energy, but his injuries would also be completely healed. For Kong Shin-mu, who had the devouring power, the monster core was like a second life. As long as there was a chance for him to catch his breath during the battle. As long as Kong Shin-mu had a way to hurt him, he would be able to do so. The final winner would definitely be Kong Shin-mu. Kong Shin-mu's devouring power would not be of use unless there was a huge gap between the two parties or some special circumstances. Otherwise, Kong Shin-mu would probably be able to challenge opponents who were several times stronger than him. This was the terrifying part of the devouring power. Whether it was Kong Shin-mu or Jiang Yuaning, they had never heard of the existence of such a divine dragon's talent. Hence, this was what worried Kong Shin-mu. He did not know where this power came from. Such a terrifying devouring power. Was it really the divine dragon's talent? Was what he had inherited really the divine dragon's blood essence? In the stone forest, the number of demonic creatures increased. However, along the way, Kong Shin-mu and Jiang Yuaning did not see any powerful existences like the two demonized stone men. There were earth demons of the same cultivation level as the demonized stone men that were eroded by the demonic aura, but they did not have the same defense as the demonized stone men. Such demonic beasts were not much of a threat to Kong Shin-mu and Jiang Yuaning. In fact, Kong Shin-mu could kill one of them by himself. With the sky-piercing dragon shadow and the roaring sky dragon claw, he would soon be able to create a wound on the opponent's body. Through the wound, the devouring power would seep into the wound, allowing Kong Shin-mu to advance towards victory. Along the way, it was not only the process of killing demonic creatures, but also the process of Kong Shin-mu collecting the demonized demon cores. The number of demon cores on him was increasing, and this time, he did not need to hand them over to the Grand Prince's palace. This meant that these demon cores could all be used by Kong Shin-mu himself. If he wanted to cultivate Iron Blood Dragon Body and make further progress, he would definitely need a lot of demonic cores to recover his strength. Not everyone could use that kind of self-mutilating cultivation method. Even for Kong Shin-mu, Although he could use this cultivation method to improve rapidly, it would also consume a lot of demon cores. In the past 3 days, he had spent more than 20 earth demon cores, which could be considered a huge fortune. Unknowingly, the two had arrived at the depths of the stone forest. At this place, the surrounding demonic creatures were getting stronger. There were even some demonized demonic beasts at the 7th heaven earth demon level. Even if Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning worked together, they might not be able to kill one of these demonized demonic beasts. However, based on the characteristics of these demonic beasts, with the right strategy, they could still kill them. With every demonized demonic beast that was killed, Kong Xinmu's strength grew stronger. He realized that although the devil qi that he had devoured could not erode his consciousness, it still had the effect of increasing his strength. After being infected by the devil qi, the combat strength of a 3rd heaven earth demon was comparable to that of a 4th heaven earth demon. After being infected by the devil qi, a 5th heaven earth demon could fight against an ordinary 6th heaven earth demon. As for Kong Xinmu's current situation, it was even more unbelievable. He continued to devour the devil qi, filling his body with devil qi, which actually made his strength grow continuously. Up until now, he had devoured about 10 powerful demonic beasts, which made his strength grow by about 3 times. Moreover, as long as he devoured those powerful demonic beasts and took possession of the devil qi in their bodies, his strength could continue to grow. This situation made Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning click their tongues in wonder. Gradually, Jiang Yuaning's combat strength was no longer comparable to Kong Xinmu's. When they encountered some 5th heaven earth demon level fellows, Kong Xinmu could easily deal with them, and Jiang Yuaning had to use the moonlight whip to completely kill them. The terrifying power of the devouring power was evident. However, this also made Kong Xinmu feel even more terrified. Could such a strange and terrifying power really be mastered by a dragon warrior? Where did the devouring power come from? What was the origin of that black dragon? It even seemed to have devoured Jiang Zizai. Kong Xinmu must find out all of this. It's best not to let others see your current state. Otherwise, I'm afraid they will think that you have been demonized. Jiang Yuaning said to Kong Xinmu with a wry smile. At this moment, Jiang Xinwu had devoured too much demonic aura. Although his mind wasn't deranged, he already looked like a demonic creature. Especially when he transformed into a dragon, the appearance of the black dragon was completely similar to those demonic beasts that had been corroded by demonic aura. Even if they see me, it doesn't matter. Will they attack me? Chapter 3860. Jiang Yuaning looked at him and laughed. What can I do if they want to kill you? She covered her mouth and chuckled. Only the 3 seniors who entered the stone forest can see you like this. They are much stronger than me. Even so, you won't leave me in the lurch. Kong Xinmu said confidently. That's not necessarily true. Jiang Yuaning said meaningfully. Kong Xinmu glanced at her and didn't say anything. In fact, the two were very familiar with each other. They were mostly joking. After experiencing so many battles in the depths of the stone forest, they were nervous. It was good to relax. However, at this time, the two had almost reached the center of the stone forest. There weren't any powerful monsters in the stone forest. Even if the demonic aura invaded and infected all the monsters, it wouldn't affect them much. Now, Kong Xinmu and Jiang Yuaning's main goal was to find the source of the demonic aura and destroy it if possible. The other 3 directions of the village were all deserts. To be honest, the possibility of the demonic aura coming from the desert was not high. In that case, it was most likely hidden in this stone forest. The two continued forward. At this time, the situation was a little strange. The two continued forward for a long time, but they didn't see any demonic monsters. Instead, many corpses appeared on the road they passed. It seemed that someone had reached this place one step ahead of them. The 3 seniors are stronger than us. It's normal for them to be faster than us. Jiang Yuaning said after thinking for a while. Well, let's follow them. Kong Xinmu nodded. Even if they were ahead of them, they couldn't just retreat or find another route. Because in front of them was the only way to the deepest part of the stone forest. If they didn't go through this route, they wouldn't be able to reach the center of the stone forest. Therefore, the two could only follow this route. Some corpses of demonic monsters kept appearing in front of them. The corpses of these demonic beasts had all had their demonic cores dug out. It could be seen that the 3 dragon warriors who had arrived earlier than the 2 of them did not give up on anything that could possibly be of value. Even if it was a demonized Yao Dan, they still dug it all out. Maybe they could even sell it for some money? This caused Kong Shinmu's heart to ache. To him, these were precious restorative items, as well as precious cultivation resources. If it was given to someone else, they would not be able to unleash the full potential of these demonized Yao cores. However, from this point, Kong Shinmu saw a way to speed up his cultivation. He did not have that much time to hunt demon beasts and obtain demon cores, nor did he have that much money to buy normal demon cores. However, this kind of demonized demon core, or some other special state demon core, was completely useless to ordinary dragon warriors, and the price was also very low. If he wanted to buy this kind of demon core, Kong Shinmu should be able to save a lot of money, right? He just didn't know if this kind of devil chi was extremely rare or a frequent occurrence. In any case, in the Grand Prince's palace, Kong Shinmu had never heard of other demonic beasts being corroded by devil chi. The 2 of them continued to advance along the path. Along the way, there were more and more demon beast corpses. To the 3 dragon warriors who were walking in front, these mere 4th and 5th level demonized demon beasts were not worth mentioning at all. They could be easily dealt with. Even Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning could kill a 7th level demonized demon beast. Not to mention the 3 dragon warriors who had become dragon warriors at least a year earlier than them. Their strength could not be that weak. In a one-on-one fight, Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning would not be a match for any of the 3 experts. Only when the 2 of them joined forces could they have a chance to fight against them. The 2 of them continued to advance. But all of a sudden, an extremely dense wave of pitch-black devil chi surged toward them from the front. It was so dense that it covered the entire sky. It was as if dark clouds were pressing down on the city, and it was as if it was going to drown the entire stone forest. This scene was extremely sudden. Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning did not expect such a situation to occur. It was impossible for them to escape at this time. Almost in an instant, the 2 of them were completely enveloped by the thick devil chi that blotted out the sky. It was as if they had been sucked into a tornado, and this devil chi tornado was desperately trying to corrode the 2 of them. Jiang Shenwu, on the other hand, was fine. After all, he already had a lot of devil chi in his body. To be honest, other than his consciousness, he could already be considered a demonized dragon martial artist. But Jiang Yuaning could not. In such a dense devil chi, she would soon be completely corroded by the devil chi. Kong Shinmu did not know what would happen to the dragon warriors if they were corroded by the devil chi. But in any case, he could not just watch Jiang Yuaning be corroded by the devil chi just like that. Previously, Kong Shinmu knew that the devouring power could devour the power of demon cores and use it to heal others. It just needed to consume twice the power of the demon cores. Now, in the face of this dense devil chi, could the devouring power still create a miracle? Relax your mind. I will help you devour all the invading devil chi. Kong Shinmu hugged Jiang Yuaning and said solemnly. At this moment, the devil chi was rolling and the surroundings were pitch black. As a girl, Jiang Yuaning instinctively felt afraid. Needless to say, the surrounding devil chi was constantly corroding her body. She felt much more at ease when she heard Kong Shinmu's words. In the next moment, just as Kong Shinmu had said, she opened up her mind and allowed Kong Shinmu's power to enter her body. This was different from when Kong Shinmu had healed her. At that time, Kong Shinmu had only devoured the power of the earth in the demon cores and sent it into her body. Naturally, he could heal her. What entered her body was only the power of the earth in the demon cores, so she did not feel anything special. But now, it was Kong Shinmu's talent that entered her body. The devouring power. It was a strange feeling. After the devouring power entered her body, it flowed continuously in her meridians and blood. It devoured all the devil chi that had invaded her body and absorbed it into Kong Shinmu's body. He could withstand the devil chi. During this process, Jiang Yuaning indeed kept her mind and was not corroded by the devil chi. The 2 of them stuck close to each other and retreated to the side. Then, they leaned against the back of a huge stone pillar to avoid being hit by something amidst the demonic aura. The demonic aura storm came too suddenly. In just an instant, only darkness was left in the eyes of the 2 of them. This made Kong Shinmu think of the other 3 dragon warriors of the Grand Lord Palace. Chapter 3861. Kong Shinmu was constantly devouring the demonic aura from Jiang Yuaning's body. Jiang Yuaning leaned against his side, not saying a word. Looking around, they were surrounded by a pitch-black demonic aura storm. They couldn't even see the nearby stone pillars. The demonic aura covered the sky, covering everything. Jiang Yuaning couldn't help but feel a little afraid. Even though she was a genius of the Jiang clan's royal clan palace, she had never seen or heard of such a situation. The demonic aura filled the sky. It was as if the end of the world had come. If not for Kong Shinmu helping her to devour the demonic aura in her body, she didn't know if she would have been eroded by the demonic aura. All of a sudden, the roar of a divine dragon resounded from the center of the stone forest. This roar of the divine dragon sounded extremely frightening, as if it had a magical power that could suck away one's soul, causing Jiang Shinwu's mind to tremble. This dragon's roar is? Kong Shinmu's heart trembled. It sounds like Jiang Yilei. Jiang Yuaning said with some doubt, but it doesn't look like it. Something strange has happened? Could it be the demonized Jiang Yilei? Kong Shinmu said in a deep voice. He knew of Jiang Yilei. He was the 8th stage of the Dragon Ascension Realm Dragon Warrior, who had come with them to the Stone Forest to investigate. Although he had only inherited the blood essence of a mortal dragon, Jiang Yilei's battle strength was definitely ranked among the top under the Divine Martial Realm. Even among the 30 people who came out for the demonic aura tracking mission, Jiang Yilei's strength was ranked in the top 10. But now, the dragon's roar that came from Jiang Yilei contained a trace of anger and despair, as if he had encountered a difficult opponent. But compared to meeting a powerful existence, the dragon's roar seemed to contain a fear that came from the bottom of his heart. What would happen to a dragon warrior who was eroded by the demonic aura? Neither Kong Shinmu nor Jiang Yuaning knew. They didn't want to try. Anyway, it was impossible for Kong Shinmu to be demonized, and Jiang Yuaning had Kong Shinmu by her side, so it was impossible for Kong Shinmu to let her be eroded by the demonic aura. However, it was hard to say for the other 3 dragon warriors who came to the stone forest. It was unknown where this demonic chi storm had come from, but it had instantly engulfed the entire stone forest. Regardless of whether it was Jiang Yilei or the other 2 dragon warriors, they had probably already been swept into the demonic chi storm. Would he be demonized? Kong Shinmu did not know. In any case, he could only try his best to devour the devil chi in Jiang Yuaning's body. He didn't want to see what Jiang Yuaning would look like after being demonized. This storm of devil chi came and went quickly. After almost half an hour, the storm of devil chi completely dissipated, and Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning finally breathed a sigh of relief. When they opened their eyes, what they saw was a messy stone forest. After the demonic chi storm blew past, the entire stone forest seemed to have changed its appearance. There were countless broken fences and broken walls on the ground, stone pillars had collapsed, and so on. Many corpses of demonic beasts were scattered in the stone forest. Many of these demonic beasts were at the 6th or even 7th level, but they couldn't withstand the devil chi storm just now and exploded one after another. Even the demon dawn in their bodies were completely shattered. It was impossible for Kong Shinmu to get any benefits from the corpses of these demonic beasts. Without the demon dawn, the demonic beasts had no other value. These demonic beasts all exploded and died because they couldn't withstand the demonic aura that entered their bodies. However, among the corpses of these demonic beasts, there were no demonic beasts at the 8th level of the Earth Demon level. Obviously, they had to be at least at the 8th level of the Earth Demon level to be able to withstand the erosion of this devil chi storm. This included the dragon martial artists. If it wasn't for Kong Shinmu, Jiang Yuaning would have probably exploded and died. Are you okay? You swallowed so much devil chi? Jiang Yu stared at Kong Shinmu with a worried look. Kong Shinmu shook his head and said, I don't feel anything. The devil chi seems to have integrated into my body. Not only am I fine, but I've also become stronger than before. This devil chi is good stuff. It's a pity that it can only stay in my body for a short period of time. It was the same as other powers. When Kong Shinmu swallowed some demonic beasts, he would gain a kind of resistance against them. This resistance was only temporary. The current devil chi was similar to the resistance of the special powers he had before. It could improve his strength, but it was only temporary. He was afraid that it could only last for an hour at most. It had to be said that this devil chi storm had brought a lot of benefits to Kong Shinmu. At least it temporarily improved his fighting strength. the exploration process of the stone forest would be smoother. Now he estimated that his strength had almost reached the 7th level of the Dragon Ascension realm, or even the 8th level. Not only did he suffer the impact of the Devil Chi storm, he also swallowed all the Devil Chi in Jiang Yuaning's body. In other words, he had suffered the erosion of two people's Devil Chi at the same time. His strength had increased by 2 times. I'm afraid that we will encounter earth demons at the 8th level and above. Yuaning, you go out first. Kong Shinmu said to Jiang Yuaning in a deep voice after guessing the situation in the depths of the stone forest. Well, you must be careful. Jiang Yuaning nodded. She also knew that she would be a burden if she stayed by Kong Shinmu's side. After the Devil Chi storm, this stone forest was no longer a place that ordinary dragon martial artists could enter. Putting everything else aside, what if there was another demonic Chi storm? Would she still need Kong Shinmu to protect her like before? Impossible. At that time, there might be a lot of earth demons at the 8th level appearing beside them and attacking them. It was impossible for Kong Shinmu to protect Jiang Yuaning and fight those demon beasts at the same time. Jiang Yuaning left. Kong Shinmu felt the surging power brought by the Devil Chi in his body. He was sure that this power, under the guidance of the devouring power, would not cause any harm to him. He could use it without worry. He stepped into the depths of the stone forest. I don't know if Zhang Yilei has been completely eroded by the Devil Chi. No matter what, let's go in and take a look first. Kong Shinmu thought. Along the way, there were constantly corpses of some low-level earth demons. Kong Shinmu checked all of them. These demon beasts had also exploded. There was no exception. The monster dawn in their bodies had exploded due to the Devil Chi. Soon, he saw the corpses of 2 dragon martial artists. Chapter 3862. Kong Shinmu's mood immediately sank. No one knew that the outbreak of demonic aura would be so serious that even the 5th and 6th tier of the Dragon Ascension realm could be completely corroded and cause their bodies to explode. This situation had clearly exceeded the initial expectations of the Jiang tribal clan's Grand Duke Palace. Whether it was the 5th or 6th tier of the Dragon Ascension realm, to the Grand Duke Palace, they could be said to be a very valuable asset. If they had known of this beforehand, they would not have sent them out. In the past, there had been similar cases of demonic aura spreading in the Jiang tribal clan. It had corroded the demon beasts and caused the demonic creatures to wreak havoc. But those cases were not as serious as this one. But for Kong Shinmu, it might not be a bad thing. Because he discovered that the 2 dragon warriors that had been corroded by the demonic aura had died in the form of a divine dragon. Although they had been corroded by the demonic aura, they could still be used by his devouring power. These were the corpses of 2 divine dragons. If he were to devour them both, it would definitely allow Kong Shinmu's strength to rise to another level. At least, it could strengthen his devouring power and allow his divine dragon body to continue growing. I never thought that I would have such an opportunity. Kong Shinmu thought. Now that Jiang Yuaning had left, he had no distractions and was even more unscrupulous in his actions. This was because the demonic aura, which was extremely fatal to ordinary demon beasts and dragon warriors, was not harmful to Kong Shinmu at all. All of this was because of the devouring power. He carefully walked forward and dragged the 2 12 to 30 feet long divine dragon corpses to the side of the rubble and hid them. In order to prevent the possible dangers ahead, Kong Shinmu did not directly move forward. Instead, he chose to directly devour the 2 divine dragon corpses. Now Kong Shinmu already understood that the devouring power of the divine dragon corpses was divided into 2 types. The first was the flesh and blood of the divine dragon, and the second was the divine dragon's bones. Devouring divine dragon flesh and divine dragon bones could increase the devouring power of the black dragon that Kong Shinmu had transformed into, as well as the grade of the black dragon. The more divine dragon flesh and blood it devoured, the stronger its devouring power would become. And the more divine dragon bones it devoured, the faster the black dragon could advance to the true dragon level. Now, Kong Shinmu's devouring power was several times stronger than it was at the beginning. The speed at which he devoured the divine dragon's remains was also much faster. No one would come to this stone forest for the time being. However, after a period of time, there would definitely be other dragon warriors coming over to investigate. If there were no problems in the other 3 directions of the desert, then the problem lay in this stone forest. The Grand Supreme Palace would definitely send people over to investigate. Moreover, Jiang Yuaning would also inform the others about the situation here after she went out. As for Kong Xinmu, the others already knew about his special ability. He could absorb devil qi and resist it. He had already explained this point when he explained the results of the demon-slaying trial. Therefore, it was normal for Kong Xinmu not to go back. In the pile of rocks, Kong Xinmu quickly devoured the 2 divine dragons' remains. This made him feel vaguely guilty, but in order to become stronger, he had no other choice. Not taking the initiative to kill other dragon warriors to devour was the limit that Kong Xinmu could do. Devouring power. I hope you don't let me down. Kong Xinmu's eyes flashed with a fierce light. The flesh and blood of the 5 and 6 divine dragons' remains were quickly devoured by Kong Xinmu. Although they were eroded by devil qi, it made no difference to Kong Xinmu. His devouring power had increased by about 10%. As for the 2 dragon skeletons, it would take a little longer to devour, but Kong Xinmu was not in a hurry to go in and investigate anyway. He would first finish devouring and then talk about it. At this time, Kong Xinmu heard the constant sounds of fighting coming from the depths of the stone forest. The process of the slaughter seemed to be abnormally bitter. Screams of demonic beasts constantly rang in Jiang Xinwu's ears. However, he could tell that these demonic beasts were all demonized demonic beasts. Furthermore, not a single one of them was weak. After the previous devil qi storm, the demon beasts that could survive were all super existences that surpassed the 7th level of Earth Demon Realm. If it was the usual Kong Xinmu, in front of these existences, he would not even be a match. The other side could just scratch their claws and kill Kong Xinmu directly. But now, Kong Xinmu was not afraid of them. After devouring so much devil qi, Kong Xinmu's strength had reached the 6th level of Dragon Ascension Realm. Coupled with the 3 dragon martial skills he cultivated, dealing with these demonic demon beasts with low IQ was certainly not a problem. Of course, the premise was that the number of the other side could not be too many. During this period, Kong Xinmu faintly heard the roar of a dragon coming from the depths of the stone forest. He could almost conclude that it was Zhang Yilei, the 8th level Dragon Ascension Realm expert who came to explore the stone forest. Zhang Yilei's strength was definitely not weak. Moreover, his strength had reached the 8th level of Dragon Ascension Realm, so he should not have died because of the devil qi storm just now. However, Kong Xinmu did not know whether Zhang Yilei had lost consciousness because of the erosion of the devil qi. Kong Xinmu did not know, if he met Zhang Yilei now, would Zhang Yilei attack him? The battle in the depths of the stone forest continued. It seemed to be a battle between a dragon martial artist and a demonic demon beast. From the sound of it, it seemed that Zhang Yilei was always hunting those demonic demon beasts, and moving deeper into the center of the stone forest. Who knew what was at the center of the stone forest? Kong Xinmu did not make random guesses, nor did he have the time to think about it. He tried his best to devour the bones of the 2 divine dragons, and then he felt the black dragon blood essence in his body constantly rising and becoming stronger. If there were enough divine dragon bones appearing in front of Kong Xinmu, then Kong Xinmu was confident that within a day, he could upgrade the black dragon blood essence to a true dragon-level divine dragon blood essence. And what place had the most divine dragon bones? Without a doubt, it was the tomb of the divine dragon. Moreover, the divine dragon bones in the tomb of the divine dragon were at least at the sky dragon level. In the territory ruled by the Jiang tribe, there was no tomb of the divine dragon. The tomb of the divine dragon that Kong Xinmu knew existed in the center of the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. But to enter the tomb of the divine dragon of the Yen Dragon Emperor's court, how could he do it? For the time being, I shouldn't think too much about it. This kind of devouring power is not something that dragon martial artists can tolerate. I absolutely cannot expose it. If I act too hastily, I will reveal clues. Kong Xinmu shook his head. There was no need to think too much about the tomb of the divine dragon for the time being. Chapter 3863. About half an hour passed. Kong Xinmu had finally devoured the 2 divine dragon corpses. His own devouring power had increased by another 10%, and the quality of the black dragon blood essence had also become purer. It was getting closer and closer to the level of a true dragon. Of course, according to the progress of the black dragon blood essence's transformation from a mortal dragon to a true dragon, Kong Xinmu had only completed less than a third of it. He needed to devour more divine dragon corpses in order to increase the quality of the black dragon blood essence. Such an opportunity could only be found by chance. Kong Shinmu would not deliberately create it. Anyway, the exploration of the origin of demonic aura gave him the opportunity to devour the divine dragon corpses. In the future, when he went on various training expeditions, such opportunities would not be few. Kong Shinmu could even leave the territory of the Jiang clan and head to some of the famous chaotic areas in the Yen Dragon Emperor's imperial court. In those areas, there would be dragon warriors dying every day. Devouring the divine dragon corpses there would not be slow. The current Kong Shinmu was too weak. If he wanted to head to those chaotic areas, he needed to at least have the cultivation of the divine martial realm to have the basic ability to protect himself. Otherwise, with his current strength, he would probably die without even knowing how he died. He would not even see the divine dragon corpses and everything on him would be snatched away. After devouring the 2 divine dragon corpses, Kong Shinmu got up and calmed himself down. He adjusted the power in his body and continued heading deeper into the stone forest. Originally, the dragon roar from Zhang Yilei was getting further and further away from Kong Shinmu. But as Kong Shinmu set off again, he soon heard the dragon roar coming from the front. It was accompanied by the roars of numerous monstrous beasts, as if a great war was going on. Kong Shinmu constantly passed through the cracks in the stone forest. Along the way, he saw many corpses of 8th-layer earth demon-level monstrous beasts. These corpses were also corroded by the demonic aura. It was obvious that they were demonic creatures. The 8th-level earth demon did not explode in the demonic chi storm. Instead, it was killed by other demons, or more accurately, by Zhang Yilei. It could be seen that these dead demonic creatures and demonic beasts all had traces of being bombarded by the power of lightning. Their skin and fur were all charred black. Moreover, the monster cores of these demonic beasts were not taken away. It was unknown whether Zhang Yilei knew that these monster cores had been eroded by the devil chi and were useless, or was there another reason? Kong Shinmu did not know the details. In any case, whenever he saw a demonic corpse, he would run up and take away the demon core. To him, this was a huge fortune. Even if he were to use the incomplete style to cultivate, it would be enough to support him to cultivate day and night for several days. By the time Kong Shinmu had taken about 30 demonized Yao cores, Zhang Yilei's dragon roar was already very close. He did not choose to appear directly. This was because he did not know what kind of state Zhang Yilei was in. What if Zhang Yilei attacked him after he appeared? Kong Shinmu was confident that he could deal with ordinary 8th-level demonic beasts, but it was impossible for him to deal with Zhang Yilei. One must know that Zhang Yilei had cultivated many dragon martial techniques. Just by looking at the corpses of the demonic beasts along the way, he knew how powerful Zhang Yilei's combat strength was. No matter what, he had to observe the situation first. Why would such a demonic chi storm erupt in the depths of this stone forest? To Kong Shinmu, everything was still a mystery, waiting to be unraveled. He hid behind a pile of rocks and finally arrived near the place where Zhang Yilei's dragon roar came from. He quietly looked over and found that at this moment, Zhang Yilei was fighting with 3 9th heaven demonic beasts in the rubble. They seemed to have fallen into a stalemate. After all, they were 9th heaven earth demonic beasts. The difference between the 8th and 9th level was still very big. Even though Zhang Yilei had cultivated many dragon martial techniques, if he wanted to deal with the 3 9th level demonic beasts joining hands, it was still beyond his power. However, Kong Shinmu secretly discovered that there was something wrong with Zhang Yilei's state at this moment. The divine dragon blood essence he obtained should have the attribute of the thunder dragon, and his talent should also be the power of thunder. Logically speaking, he should have the body of a divine dragon like blue or purple. But now, in front of Kong Shinmu, the 8th level of the Dragon Ascension Realm divine dragon was actually pitch black. Moreover, even the power of thunder it released was pitch black, looking extremely strange. Kong Shinmu knew that this must be because Zhang Yilei had been completely eroded by the demonic chi. Although he was not dead, all the power in his body had been integrated with the demonic chi, and was no longer the pure power of thunder from before. I wonder if he is conscious now? Kong Shinmu frowned slightly. He hid at the side and did not show himself, because he still had not figured out Zhang Yilei's current situation. If he could confirm that Zhang Yilei was conscious, Kong Shinmu would definitely go out to help. Although his strength was not good, he could still hold back one of the 9th level demonic beasts. But if Zhang Yilei had been eroded by the demonic chi, then Kong Shinmu would very likely be surrounded by the 4 fellows if he jumped out. In that case, Kong Shinmu would be dead for sure, without the slightest chance of survival. Therefore, Kong Shinmu was still observing. And Kong Shinmu did not continue observing for too long, because he quickly saw some signs. The body of the divine dragon that Zhang Yilei had transformed into was already riddled with scars. In the continuous battle, the wounds caused by the various demonic beasts had not yet healed, and his pair of divine dragon eyes were already filled with a strong aura of death. This pair of divine dragon eyes filled with an aura of death made Kong Shinmu's heart tremble. Could it be that Zhang Yilei was already dead? There was no way Kong Shinmu was mistaken about that pair of eyes filled with an aura of death. That was a pair of eyes devoid of life. Even the eyes of the demonic beasts controlled by the demonic chi did not have such an aura of death. What's wrong with him? If he's already dead, how can he still continue fighting? Kong Shinmu's heart shook. He had never heard of such a situation. He did not dare to casually go out. If he was targeted by Zhang Yilei, the situation would not be good. He did not freeze in place, but looked deeper into the stone forest in front of him. This glance made him instantly happy, because he seemed to have found the source of the demonic chi. In front of the battle between Zhang Yilei and the 3 demonic beasts of the 9th level, there was a black fog, or rather, a stone wrapped in black fog. From afar, Kong Shinmu could feel the terrifyingly strong demonic chi in the black fog. Chapter 3864. Kong Shinmu did not act rashly because the stone shrouded in the black fog was too strange. If the source of all the demonic aura was this stone, then it was definitely not a simple existence. If he were to approach it rashly, he might encounter some accidents. Even though Kong Shinmu was immune to the erosion of the demonic aura, he still had to be careful. He continued to observe the battle between Zhang Yilei and the 3 9th-level demonic beasts. The various powers that the 4 of them displayed were already accompanied by a thick black demonic aura. However, this also increased the power of their attacks. Zhang Yilei's combat power was definitely not weak. This could be seen from the road that was littered with the corpses of 8th-level demonic beasts. But now, facing the simultaneous attacks of 3 9th-level demonic beasts, he was somewhat unable to hold on. The Thunder Dragon's eyes were filled with a thick deathly aura, as though it was already dead. However, under the drive of some kind of power, Zhang Yilei still maintained his combat instincts. Soon, Kong Shinmu discovered that Zhang Yilei was indeed dead. That was because the Thunder Dragon's battle was completely chaotic. It was just rigidly using some of the dragon martial techniques it had cultivated to urge the innate power within its body. It didn't have the kind of spirituality that a true dragon martial artist would have in a battle. Fortunately, the 3 9th-level demonic beasts were the same. They did not have much thinking ability, which allowed Zhang Yilei to maintain a balance. Could it be that Zhang Yilei is really dead? Kong Shinmu frowned slightly. If Zhang Yilei was really dead, then there was no point for him to stay here. A battle based on instinct and obsession would definitely not last long. Moreover, even if he won, it was unlikely that he would pay attention to the stone shrouded in black fog, right? Kong Shinmu did not know the specifics of the situation, so he could only continue to observe. The battle between Zhang Yilei and the 3 demonic beasts was extremely intense. There were even a few times when the battle almost reached the place where Kong Shinmu was hiding. Fortunately, Kong Shinmu's hiding place was very well hidden. As the battle went on, the other party would move further away. This gave Kong Shinmu quite a fright. If the other party really came a little closer, they would definitely discover that he was hiding here. At that time, it would be hard to imagine what would happen. It wasn't just the threat of the 3 demonic beasts. Even Zhang Yilei and Kong Shinmu couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't attack them. After all, no one could be sure of the current situation. Kong Shinmu continued to hide in the dark corner, watching the Thunderbolt Dragon and the 3 demonic beasts in a stalemate. Fortunately, after a while, one of the demonic beasts revealed an opening and was killed by the Thunderbolt Dragon's dark purple lightning talent. The demonic beast stiffened and fell to the ground, losing its vitality. It seemed like it couldn't hold on any longer. He had finally gotten rid of one of them and turned the situation around. However, Zhang Yilei's own situation was not very good. Because of the continuous battle, he had exhausted all the energy in his body. Although there were only 2 demonic beasts left, Zhang Yilei's strength could not hold on any longer. If they continued to fight, it would be difficult to determine the outcome. Fortunately, Zhang Yilei was a dragon warrior after all. The body of a divine dragon was bigger than the two demonic beasts. The advantage in size allowed the demonic thunderbolt dragon to suppress one of the ape-type demonic beasts. The other giant stoneman demonic beast's physical strength was also very strong, but it was restrained by the thunderbolt dragon's talent and couldn't come forward to help. After a short period of time, the thunderbolt dragon finally tore the ape-like demonic beast into pieces. Even the demon core that had been eroded by the demonic energy fell out and rolled along the gravel ground to a place not far from Kong Xinmu. Of course, he couldn't pick up the demon core now. The situation was the most urgent. Kong Xinmu didn't want to cause any accidents because of his impulsiveness. He was very patient and had been hiding here for a full hour. During these 2 hours, he didn't even move an inch. This kind of ability wasn't something that just anyone could have. The demon core of the 9th layer of the earth demon level was very valuable to Kong Xinmu. Although it had been eroded by the demonic energy, he could still absorb the power of the earth in it to restore his strength. This thing was only useful to Kong Xinmu alone. If other dragon warriors got their hands on it, they couldn't absorb the power in it at all. Otherwise, it was very likely that they would also absorb the demonic energy into their bodies, which would lead to some unpredictable consequences. He continued to look at the battlefield. Zhang Yilei and the giant stoneman demonic beast were locked in a fierce battle. He used his talent and physical strength at the same time, allowing him to suppress the giant stoneman demonic beast. However, the demonic beast wasn't that easy to bully. Between his hands, he aimed at the pair of front claws of the divine dragon's body and tore it apart. It didn't take long for the pair of dragon claws to be completely torn off from the dragon's body. The bloody dragon claws were thrown to the side, and thick demonic energy continued to spread from the torn wounds. If it had been a conscious battle, it would have been impossible for both sides to fight to this point. This was because it was too tragic. Even if either side won, the losses would outweigh the gains. This was especially true for dragon warriors. With the dragon claws torn off, the divine dragon's body was no longer complete. This would have a huge impact on one's own strength and cultivation. Unless the dragon claws could be reattached, or if one had a more convenient healing ability like Kong Xinmu did, the tragic hand-to-hand battle soon came to an end. With the power of the divine dragon's talent, the divine dragon's body was still a notch higher. The giant stoneman demonic beast was torn to pieces. His sharp dragon teeth were covered with gravel. He had used his dragon teeth to bite the flesh of the giant stoneman demonic beast. In the end, Zhang Yilei won this battle of life and death. However, it was a battle of life and death. Even though Zhang Yilei had obtained the final victory, he had also suffered extremely serious injuries. Immediately after, Kong Xinmu saw Zhang Yilei slowly flying towards the stone shrouded in black fog in front of him. The divine dragon could fly, after all. However, during the battle just now, he seemed to have forgotten this ability and chose to fight hand-to-hand with his opponent. From this, it could be seen that Zhang Yilei most likely had no self-awareness. As he flew towards the stone shrouded in black fog, Kong Xinmu immediately became nervous. He really wanted to know what would happen next. If the stone shrouded in black fog was the source of the demonic energy, why was Zhang Yilei trying so hard to get close to it? Chapter 3865. As Zhang Yilei's divine dragon body approached the stone shrouded in black fog step by step, Kong Xinmu's heart was in his throat. The distance between them was getting closer and closer. When Zhang Yilei's body was less than 100 feet away from the stone shrouded in black fog, the layers of black fog covering the stone suddenly expanded and formed a black fog filled with demonic aura that swept towards Zhang Yilei. What's going on? Kong Xinmu's heart skipped a beat as he stared nervously at the scene without blinking. The endless black fog of demonic aura completely enveloped Zhang Yilei's divine dragon body. Then, Zhang Yilei's divine dragon body seemed to be struggling to approach the stone shrouded in black fog. The power of thunder within it exploded and flickered. Zhang Yilei was attacking the stone. Kong Xinmu immediately realized this and stared at it without blinking. Unfortunately, Zhang Yilei's divine dragon body was slowly engulfed by the endless demonic aura until it finally disappeared. All that was left were spots of purplish-black thunder power that flickered continuously in the black fog. He wants to attack that stone. Could this also be his obsession when he was alive? Or could it be that Zhang Yilei is not dead? Kong Xinmu shook his head at this thought. It was almost impossible that Zhang Yilei was not dead. Even if he was not dead, he had already been completely eroded by the demonic aura and had most likely lost his consciousness. The reason he was attacking the stone with all his might was most likely because of his obsession when he was alive. Kong Xinmu had heard that some dragon martialists with strong willpower could still maintain their divine dragon body for a period of time after death to complete what they had not completed when they were alive. However, such things were extremely rare. Apart from having strong willpower, it also required some special external factors. For example, the erosion of the demonic aura was the external factor that allowed Zhang Yilei to maintain his mobility even after death. And his obsession when he was alive was, of course, to clean up all the demonic aura. Thinking about it this way, Zhang Yilei's actions now made sense. Zhang Yilei had lost his sense of self under the erosion of the demonic aura. However, before his sense of self disappeared, he still wanted to clean up the demonic aura. And the stone shrouded in the black fog was clearly the source of the demonic aura. Zhang Yilei, who had been killing his way here, was aiming for that stone. But now, Zhang Yilei obviously couldn't do anything to that stone. This was because Kong Xinmu soon saw that Zhang Yilei's mystical dragon body was surrounded by thick black fog. Then, the black fog and demonic aura kept pushing Zhang Yilei away. Even his purplish-black talent, the power of lightning, could not touch the body of the stone. The divine dragon's body churned in the demonic aura, trying its best to rush over and destroy the stone. But Kong Xinmu shook his head. It was still lacking a little. With Zhang Yilei's current strength, it was too difficult to destroy that stone. Moreover, this stone might not necessarily be the source of all the devil qi. Destroying this stone might not guarantee the complete end of this operation. Of course, it was impossible for Kong Xinmu to step forward and help him now. Zhang Yilei's obsession was so strong that his mystical dragon body could still move for a long time after his death. But after killing so many demonic beasts, he had reached his limit. It would be extremely difficult to destroy this stone. If there were no other accidents, Kong Xinmu could only wait here for the others to arrive. Anyway, the obstacles along the way had been cleared. If Jiang Yuaning went back to inform the others to come over, everyone could quickly gather near the stone. When the time came, they could brainstorm together and perhaps come up with a solution. Of course, the dragon martial artists who wanted to come over had to be at least at the 8th heaven realm. Otherwise, if the demonic aura storm came again, the Grand Prince's palace would suffer even more serious losses. Zhang Yilei's mystical dragon body was quickly carried by the thick demonic aura and landed 100 feet away from the stone. His body had long been completely enveloped by the black demonic aura and his insides had been completely corroded. It was obvious that the mystical dragon body was still trying to forcefully fly up and attack the stone. The purplish-black power of lightning on his body condensed into lightning bolts and darted into the black fog like agile snakes. Unfortunately, after the power of lightning entered the black fog, it did not create any waves. It could be said that it did not affect or harm the stone at all. Due to the endless rolling and tumbling of the demonic aura, Zhang Yilei's mystical dragon body could not enter within 100 feet of the stone. The purplish-black power of lightning on his body became weaker and his aura became weaker. Finally, he fell head first to the ground. His obsession could not make him get up again and destroy the source of the demonic aura. Kong Xinmu witnessed the entire process from the side. He was a little impressed by this fellow. Although it was due to the corrosion of the demonic aura, it was already very impressive that he could still fight for so long after his death. Not everyone had the courage to risk their lives to destroy the source of the demonic aura. A fierce warrior. Kong Xinmu thought of a word to describe this fellow. If it had been another dragon martial artist, they might not even be able to clear this path. In other words, they might not even be able to see the final source of the demonic aura. It had to be said that Zhang Yilei was worthy of respect. However, when Kong Xinmu looked at the mystical dragon body, he swallowed his saliva. If he could devour the flesh, blood, essence, and dragon bones of the mystical dragon body, his strength would rise to another level. Unfortunately, he did not dare to go forward now. It was also at this moment that he suddenly felt the blood in his body start to heat up and gradually boil. There was a voice telling him to get closer to the stone shrouded in black fog. This made Kong Xinmu's brows knit together tightly. This voice can only come from the inherited blood essence of the black dragon. Kong Shinmu guessed. This was because the voice was coming from his body, and there was nothing else in his body except the black dragon's blood essence. What the hell was the black dragon up to this time? The black dragon's inheritance was already very strange. Now that he sensed the churning demonic aura, it actually made Kong Shinmu take the initiative to approach it. He did not know what the black dragon was planning. Kong Shinmu was not prepared to listen to the voice in his body. He would not risk his life. However, he soon realized that his body had involuntarily walked out of its hiding place and directly transformed into a black dragon. It flew straight toward the endless sea of demonic aura and engulfed all over its body. Chapter 3866. Kong Shinmu was horrified. He could only watch helplessly as his black dragon body flew towards the surging demonic aura. Then, the devouring power enveloped his entire dragon body. His vision suddenly turned black. The black dragon's entire body flew into the surging demonic aura. Jiang Shenwu couldn't see anything anymore. He couldn't even control his own black dragon's body. This feeling of resigning himself to fate made him very unhappy. At that moment, a voice that seemed to come from the Nine Netherworld rang in his mind. "Don't move." These 4 simple words made Kong Shinmu calm down immediately. This voice seemed to have some kind of magical power. It carried a domineering aura that seemed to control heaven and earth, making him unable to resist at all. Was this the black dragon? Why was it just an ordinary dragon with such a terrifying aura? Jiang Shenwu couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he tried. Moreover, he had never heard of any dragon martial artist being controlled by the divine dragon's inheritance blood essence after obtaining it. Clearly, whether it was the devouring power of the black dragon's inheritance blood essence, or the scene of it devouring his father, Jiang Zizai, or the fact that it could control Kong Shinmu's body now. All of this meant that the black dragon's inheritance was not an ordinary existence. The black dragon body moved forward rapidly in the endless demon aura. Soon, it crossed the distance of 100 feet and arrived near the stone shrouded in black fog. This was a level that even Jiang Ilai was far from reaching. Meanwhile, Kong Shinmu arrived in front of the black fog stone under the control of the inherited divine dragon. The surrounding demon aura was constantly being devoured and absorbed by him, but it was impossible for him to completely absorb the vast ocean of demon aura. This was because the black fog stone was constantly surging with demon aura, tightly surrounding Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body. This made Kong Shinmu very uncomfortable. The feeling of not being able to control his body was terrible. He constantly resisted and felt the suppression of the inherited divine dragon in his body getting stronger. No matter how he resisted, he couldn't break free. "Now you and I are one. If you die, I die. I won't harm you. Don't move." The voice sounded in Kong Shinmu's mind again, and it seemed to be a little angry. "What do you want? What are you?" Kong Shinmu thought to himself as he interrogated the inherited divine dragon's consciousness. He continued to struggle. He didn't like the feeling of being controlled. Unless the other party gave him a satisfactory answer, he would rather die together with them than let the other party have an easy time. Now, the divine dragon's body was in front of the black fog stone. If he went one step further, he would be able to do something to it. However, under Kong Shinmu's continuous struggle, the divine dragon's body couldn't take another step forward. It was even being engulfed by the demon aura, making it even more difficult. Humph! A cold snort came from Kong Shinmu's heart. The black dragon's consciousness was very strong, but seeing that Kong Shinmu wasn't listening to it, it could only compromise first. It said coldly, "Of course, I'm going to swallow this demon stone. It will benefit both of us." "This thing? You can swallow it too?" Kong Shinmu still resisted with all his might. The other party hadn't explained things clearly. "I can even swallow the heavens. What more a small stone? Young one, don't test my patience." The black dragon's voice rolled over, shaking Kong Shinmu so much that his consciousness was a little muddled. His mind was immediately suppressed to the point where it was extremely weak. He didn't know what kind of existence this black dragon was. How dare it say that it could swallow the heavens? No matter what, Kong Shinmu was no match for it. Although the black dragon's body now belonged to him, he still couldn't take back control of it. The other party's level was too high. It was so high that Kong Shinmu couldn't even imagine it. The Black Fog Demon Stone in front of him could even kill a level 8 dragon warrior, but under the control of the Black Dragon's consciousness, the ordinary Black Dragon that Kong Shinmu had transformed into could approach it easily. It was obvious that this Black Dragon was extraordinary. Awed by the ancient voice, Kong Shinmu's mind was weakened and he couldn't resist at all. The Black Dragon's body was completely under the other party's control. In the next moment, the Black Dragon charged forward swiftly, broke through the black mist, and swallowed the black mist magic stone in one gulp. In the stone forest, the black fog of demonic chi gradually dissipated. The Black Fog Demon Stone was swallowed into the stomach of Kong Shinmu's Black Dragon body. Although the Demon Stone was still emitting demonic chi and trying to escape from the stomach, the Black Dragon's consciousness wouldn't allow it to escape. The devouring power completely enveloped the Black Fog Demon Stone in its body. Then the entire Black Fog Demon Stone gradually melted in the Black Dragon's body, turning into extremely pure demonic chi that integrated into the limbs and bones of the Black Dragon's body. At this moment, Kong Shinmu felt that the power in the Black Fog Demon Stone actually carried the aura of a divine dragon. After he swallowed the Black Fog Demon Stone, it was as if he had swallowed the dragon bones of several divine dragons. What is this demon stone? Kong Shinmu couldn't help but wonder. The saliva of the demon dragon is the saliva of an ancient demon dragon. After you and I have swallowed it, we will naturally obtain a lot of power from the ancient demon dragon, which will help us improve. The Black Dragon's voice sounded coldly. Although I don't know why the saliva of the demon dragon would appear in such a small place, it's fortunate that it's only a drop. It's still within our control. The saliva of the demon dragon. Kong Shinmu really didn't know what it was, but after swallowing the so-called saliva of the demon dragon, he could clearly feel the blood in his body start to burn. Then, the endless demonic chi actually started to transform the Black Dragon body. The Black Dragon's consciousness quietly retreated. After the saliva of the demon dragon was swallowed, the black fog and demonic chi in the field also gradually dissipated. The entire stone forest once again returned to a state of tranquility. Only the interior of the Black Dragon body that Kong Shinmu had transformed into began to turn turbulent. The saliva of the demon dragon was the saliva of an ancient demon dragon. Although he didn't know what an ancient demon dragon was, the effect of swallowing the saliva of the demon dragon was much stronger than swallowing the bones of other divine dragons. The Black Dragon body continued to expand. From a length of 150 feet, it continuously expanded to a length of 200 feet. When it reached a length of 200 feet, it was actually still growing. Most importantly, Kong Shinmu felt the change in the level of his power. In terms of the level of his devouring power, there was an obvious increase. In the beginning, Kong Shinmu was only an inheritor of the blood essence of a mortal dragon. After swallowing so many divine dragon bones, the grade of his blood essence gradually approached the level of a true dragon from a mortal dragon, increasing the progress by about 1/3. Chapter 3867. When Long Chen came out of the Tower of Time and arrived at the Myriad Worlds, he felt that the atmosphere here was different. It was as if the entire Myriad Worlds had changed over the past month. A strange mental energy filled the air, and Long Chen felt a familiar aura from it. It was the same mental energy that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had used to control him. Long Chen used the Eye of Life to scan the entire Myriad Worlds. He first started to observe the Dragon Sacrificial Continent. At this moment, since Long Chen had become the strongest primeval dragon sacrificial ceremony, the territory of the Dragon Sacrificial Continent had expanded by several times. However, in this expanded territory of the Dragon Sacrificial Dragon Continent, Long Chen only felt a strange atmosphere and a silence that made one despair. At this time, all the living beings actually didn't make the slightest bit of noise, and all of them were quietly staying in their original spots. Including the Dragon Emperor and the others on the Dragon Sacrificial Continent, they were all like puppets and didn't move at all. What's going on? Long Chen's expression changed drastically. He knew that something big must have happened in the Myriad Worlds during the 1 month that he had been cultivating in seclusion. However, he couldn't figure out what exactly it was. He could feel the mental energy aura of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer from the billions of living beings on the Dragon Sacrificial Continent and across the 10,000 worlds. Could it be that all living beings in the 10,000 worlds were controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer? The situation isn't good. Long Chen's expression darkened, and he immediately called out Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and the others in his divine kingdom. When he was cultivating, Lingxi and Li Xuanji were in his divine kingdom, and Long Chen's children and the others were in the ancestral dragon's companion world. It seemed like nothing had happened to them, but all the living beings in the myriad worlds had encountered some kind of mishap. It looks like they've been controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. What should we do now? Lingxi was extremely worried when she sensed the state of the living beings in the 10,000 worlds. She had a kind nature, and the actions of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer made Lingxi angry. Since Sacred Lord Soul Devourer has taken control of all beings in the 10,000 worlds, he obviously won't just do things randomly. If I'm not wrong, he will contact us very soon. Long Chen guessed in a deep voice. Jie, Long Chen, you guessed it right. Right at this moment, the voices of countless beings from all over the 10,000 worlds sounded toward Long Chen. Through Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's powerful mental energy, the voices of billions of beings appeared in Long Chen's ears almost at the same time. This was the true sound of 10,000 worlds speaking at the same time. All living beings in the 10,000 worlds were controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and his voice was transmitted to Long Chen at the same time. Long Chen's bloodline instantly boiled, and his anger burned. Long Chen, this Sacred Lord has already controlled all the living beings in the 10,000 worlds. If you want to kill this Sacred Lord, you'll have to kill all the living beings in the 10,000 worlds. Otherwise, you won't be able to kill me. Jie. The scene of all the living beings in the 10,000 worlds being controlled was extremely spectacular. This scene was something that Long Chen couldn't bear. All the living beings in the 10,000 worlds were controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. If he wanted to kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, he would have to kill billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. This put Long Chen in a difficult position. He had finally cultivated the origin of the 8th world of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, and wanted to come out of the Tower of Time to find traces of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and kill him. However, from the looks of it, it was very troublesome. At the very least, it was impossible for Long Chen to kill billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. The living beings in the 10,000 worlds weren't strong, but they were all innocent beings that Long Chen wanted to protect. How could he send them to their deaths with his own hands? Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, your guess is correct. I indeed can't kill you, but in this situation, it's impossible for you to kill me, Long Chen. What advantage do you think you have? Long Chen laughed coldly. He had thought through the crux of the matter, which was why he was evenly matched with Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Although he couldn't kill billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds to kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had spread his mental energy across billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds, so his own strength had become extremely weak. It was impossible for Sacred Lord Soul Devourer to kill Long Chen with his remaining strength or to control billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. After Long Chen finished speaking, he recalled Ling Shi and the others into his divine kingdom. Then, he directly crossed the life and death realms and stepped out of the Death Realm Dragon Gate. He headed towards the place where Mo Xiaolang had self-destructed his divine body, and sealed the other 3 sky-devouring clan holy lords. Since he couldn't kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer right now, the only thing Long Chen could do now was to kill the other 3 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race. Before, Long Chen couldn't do anything about the 9 Sun Flame Refining Seal, but now that he had completed the complete primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, he might be able to deal with the seal. Long Chen soon passed through the Death World Dragon Gate and arrived at the 9 Sun Flame Refining Seal. This place was in the air, and the beings controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer were all relatively weak. The 5th Era Ancestral God was the strongest, but even the 5th Era Ancestral God wasn't a threat to Long Chen at all. Therefore, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer didn't control the beings of the 10,000 worlds to deal with Long Chen. After all, doing so would use up a lot of mental energy. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer originally controlled the beings of the 10,000 worlds as a method to protect himself, but Sacred Lord Soul Devourer felt that his chance might come when he saw Long Chen approach the 9 Sun Flame Refining Seal. As expected, the 9 ancestral flames in the 9 Sun Flame Refining Seal all come from the same source as the ancestral god dragon. The only one that doesn't come from the same source is the Primal Chaos Heaven Devouring Flame, but I can easily block it with my current cultivation. Long Chen soon felt that his aura was the same as the 9 Sun Flame Refining Seal, so he calmed himself down and stepped into the 9 Sun Flame Refining Seal. Whether it was to completely kill the 3 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race or check the current state of Mo Xiaolong's soul, he had to enter the giant mixed flames of the 9 sun flame refining seal in order to find a result. Right now, Long Chen had completed the perfect primordial sacrificial dragon and charged into the 9 sun flame refining seal after turning into the primordial sacrificial dragon. He then tried to contact Mo Xiaolang, but he didn't receive any response. From the looks of it, Mo Xiaolong's soul was most likely sealed in the 9 sun flame refining seal. Only the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was destroyed, but the soul was definitely still there. If that's the case, I'll kill the sacred lords of the sky-devouring race first and then try to call Xiao Lang. Long Chen made his decision and started to search for the 3 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race within the giant mixed flames of the 9 sun flame refining seal. This book came from the author. Chapter 3868. This woman was Jiang Fengqing. After receiving the news, she followed Jiang Yuaning to the direction of the stone forest as fast as she could. However, she was still a little late, or rather, she came just in time. Anyway, she couldn't save Jiang Yilei even if she came early. Kong Xinmu told her about the saliva of the devil dragon. Of course, he didn't mention the words saliva of the devil dragon. He only said that Jiang Yilei came over and cleared all the demonized beasts in the surroundings. Then, he came up and absorbed a stone that was suspected to be the source of the devil qi. In addition to containing endless devil qi, the stone that was the source of the devil qi also contained extremely pure divine dragon power. It was this divine dragon power that allowed Kong Xinmu's divine dragon inheritance blood essence to be upgraded. Jiang Fengqing and Jiang Yuaning were in disbelief. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. Even Jiang Yuaning was shocked. Although she knew that Kong Xinmu's devouring power could devour some special things to strengthen himself, she didn't expect Kong Xinmu to be able to devour the source of the devil qi and advance to the level of a true dragon. The difference between a mortal dragon and a true dragon was too big. Under normal circumstances, a dragon martial artist with true dragon inheritance could fight against 3 dragon martial artists with mortal dragon inheritance. Even according to the length of the divine dragon's body, it could be seen that a dragon martial artist with true dragon inheritance was 3 times stronger than a dragon martial artist with mortal dragon inheritance. In this way, Kong Xinmu's strength would be greatly improved. Jiang Yuaning was sincerely happy for him because she knew that Kong Xinmu's devouring power was already very strong. Now that it was combined with the true dragon inheritance blood essence, it would be able to exert a more terrifying effect. It could even be said that Kong Xinmu was now stronger than Jiang Yuaning. However, if the two really fought, it would be difficult to determine the winner. The main thing was that Jiang Yuaning was familiar with Kong Xinmu. As long as she didn't let Kong Xinmu get close to her, she would basically be fine. As for Jiang Fengqing, who came with Jiang Yuaning, she was even more shocked. Jiang Fengqing had always been proud of being able to obtain the true dragon inheritance blood essence. She didn't expect a fallen genius to be able to obtain the true dragon inheritance blood essence from a mortal dragon. Her red phoenix eyes flickered with a bright light. She was obviously not happy to see Jiang Xinwu's rise. That was because her father was one of the Grand Prince's mansion's elders. He stood on Jiang Rong's side and supported Jiang Rong's ascension to the position of Jiang clan's patriarch. If Jiang Xinwu's strength were to increase, the selection for the position of clan leader might become a problem again. Therefore, at this moment, Jiang Fengqing's expression became stern. What's going on here? How did Jiang Yilei and the other 2 disciples of the Grand Prince's palace all die here? Jiang Xinwu, you're only at the 2nd level of the Dragon Ascension realm. How did you survive? You'd better be honest. How did Jiang Yilei and the others die? What is the source of the devil qi? What kind of existence is it? What happened? Tell me everything. Jiang Fengqing snapped at Kong Xinmu. Kong Xinmu narrowed his eyes. He knew why Jiang Fengqing was making things difficult for him. She didn't want him to affect the Jiang clan's clan patriarch election. Since that was the case, Kong Xinmu couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with her. Jiang Fengqing, you can do whatever you want with the Jiang clan's clan patriarch's position. I don't care about the Jiang clan's clan patriarch's position. Ha! Kong Xinmu bluntly stated her concerns. He smiled and prepared to leave. What he said was the truth. The current him didn't care about the Jiang clan's clan patriarch's position. After he obtained the Black Dragon's inheritance, as long as he developed smoothly, he would become an existence that surpassed ordinary dragon warriors. In such a situation, a mere Jiang clan could not hold him down. His stage was at least the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. His biggest goal in the near future was naturally to enter the Yen Dragon Emperor's tomb of the Divine Dragon. Before this, he didn't have much of a plan, but a mere Jiang clan really couldn't trap him. Although the Jiang clan's clan patriarch belonged to his father, he had been missing for 10 years. It wasn't a problem to change the clan patriarch's position. Besides, even if his father appeared again, he might not want the clan patriarch's position. Hearing Kong Shinmu's words, Jiang Fengqing was furious. But she couldn't refute Kong Shinmu. Since Kong Shinmu couldn't be bothered with the Jiang clan's clan patriarch's battle, it was a good thing for her. It had to be known that although Jiang Longjun, Jiang Zizai, had been missing for 10 years, there were still many good friends of Jiang Zizai in the Elder Council of the Jiang clan. They were extremely supportive of Jiang Zizai. If Kong Shinmu were to oppose Jiang Rong's position as clan patriarch, these hidden elders would definitely support Kong Shinmu. It would bring about a lot of trouble. I don't know what you're talking about. Jiang Fengqing snorted. She thought for a long time and decided to say some polite words. No matter what, the deaths of Zhang Yilei and the other two are suspicious. When we return, Kong Shinmu, you must cooperate with the investigation. This demonic energy is too strange. If you were to devour it, it might cause some changes. You have to lock it up. In any case, she wanted to go against Kong Shinmu to the end. If it wasn't for Jiang Yuaning, Jiang Shenwu suspected that Jiang Fengqing would have killed him on the spot. It wasn't impossible for that to happen. After all, Jiang Fengqing was a dragon warrior with the blood essence of the real dragon. She was already at the 9th level of the Dragon Ascension realm. If she wanted to kill Kong Shinmu, it would be a piece of cake. Even Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning together were not her match. However, there were two of them, Kong Shinmu and Jiang Yuaning. As long as one of them held her back, the other would have the time to leave and tell the others about Jiang Fengqing's actions. Jiang Tu, the leader of this operation, was a very fair person. He would not sit idly by. Therefore, Jiang Fengqing could not do anything to Kong Shinmu. She could only use words to suppress him, and then slowly deal with him when they returned. Although Kong Shinmu showed that he was too lazy to care about the clan patriarch, Jiang Fengqing did not dare to take it seriously. In her heart, she was brewing a vicious plan. She wanted to use the deaths of Zhang Yilei and the other two, as well as the fact that she had suddenly become the inheritor of the real dragon's blood essence, to completely expel Kong Shinmu from the clan patriarch's palace. Chapter 3869. After Kong Shinmu devoured the saliva of the demon dragon, the demon chi disaster was basically over. The dragon martialists who went to investigate in the other three directions did not obtain any useful information. They only managed to kill some demonic beasts that had been corroded by the demon chi, and these demonic beasts seemed to have come from the direction of the stone forest. There was no doubt that the source of the demon chi was in the stone forest. When Kong Shinmu devoured the saliva of the demon dragon, all the problems were solved. Logically speaking, as the person who had solved all the problems, Kong Shinmu should be rewarded handsomely. However, on the contrary, not only did the rewards of this training mission have nothing to do with him, but the deaths of Zhang Yilei and the other two had put him in a very difficult situation. He had to explain Zhang Yilei's death clearly, and he had to tell them all about his supreme talent. The former was normal, but the latter was too much. To a dragon martialist, the supreme talent was their trump card. Once it was made public, it would be extremely disadvantageous to them. However, the elders of the Grand Prince's mansion had said that if he did not explain his supreme talent, they would not be able to prove the truth of Zhang Yilei's death. Kong Shinmu naturally kept his mouth shut. He could not possibly reveal all the characteristics and effects of the devouring power, not even a part of it. He had already told them everything he could, and it was impossible for him to reveal more. The devouring power could devour a certain type of energy and temporarily increase one's resistance to that energy. It could also be used to devour demon cores and other things to recover one's strength. This was a very normal ability, but Jiang Shenwu's words alone were not enough to convince the members of the Elders' Council. Could it be that Kong Shinmu was going to reveal the fact that he could devour the divine dragon's corpse? That was impossible. Once this ability was revealed, he would definitely die. After all, this ability meant that he would be enemies with all the dragon martialists. Of course, that was with the exception of Jiang Yuaning, who already knew the truth. This time, Jiang Yuaning had been putting in a good word for Kong Shinmu in front of the elders. Unfortunately, although she was a dragon martial artist with the true dragon's inheritance, her cultivation base was still too low. She basically had no say in the Grand Lord's mansion. Now that the Jiang tribal clan's patriarch was about to be re-elected, at this critical juncture, the elders were most likely inclined to lock up Kong Shinmu. No matter how hard Kong Shinmu tried to explain, it was useless. He even had to bear the infamy of refusing to help, because Jiang Ilei's death was not a small loss to the entire Grand Prince's palace. In addition, Jiang Ilei was loyal and had many friends in the Grand Prince's palace. Now, his friends had gathered together and blamed Jiang Ilei's death on Kong Shinmu. But in fact, Kong Shinmu's cultivation base was only at the second level of the Dragon Ascension realm. Even if he really did not help, there was nothing wrong with him. Did he really have to risk his life to save him? Everything was because Kong Shinmu had stepped into the true dragon realm from the mortal dragon realm. It made people jealous, and also made people feel threatened. If a dragon martial artist with the mortal dragon's inheritance had no influence on the Jiang tribal clan's patriarch selection, then a dragon martial artist with the true dragon's inheritance had the right to vote in the patriarch selection. This was not a situation that the group of elders led by Jiang Rong were happy to see. Therefore, Kong Shinmu was temporarily locked up. In the back mountain of the Grand Prince's mansion, Kong Shinmu was locked up alone in a cave. The cave entrance had a divine dragon boundary, making it impossible for him to leave the cave. He closed his eyes to rest. He was not angry because of this, because anger was useless. He quietly comprehended the 3 moves of the dragon martial skill. The iron blood dragon body could not be cultivated in this situation, because the cultivation efficiency was too low. It was unnecessary. After enjoying the extremely fast cultivation speed of self-mutilation, he did not want to cultivate the iron blood dragon body by ordinary means at all. Now he was comprehending the 2 dragon martial skills, the void-piercing dragon shadow and the sky-roaring dragon claw. The former could increase his speed, and the latter was an attack-type dragon martial skill. It could allow him to quickly injure his opponent, and thus corrode the opponent's body with the devouring power. After 3 days and 3 nights, Kong Shinmu was starving. No one came to see him. But in the middle of the night, a familiar figure quietly came to the back mountain. This figure was Jiang Yuaning. In the current Grand Prince's mansion, to Kong Shinmu, Jiang Yuaning was the only friend he had. Under such circumstances, if Jiang Yuaning revealed the fact that Kong Shinmu could devour the divine dragon's bones, Kong Shinmu would definitely die. But she did not, because she had always admired Jiang Longjun and Jiang Zizai. Jiang Yuaning also admired Kong Shinmu's courage and hard work. Not to mention other things, just the fact that he could endure the pain while cultivating the iron blood dragon body showed that Kong Shinmu was definitely not a simple person. He was not called a genius for nothing. Therefore, she decided to stand on Kong Shinmu's side from the beginning. She came to the cave at the back mountain and had already obtained a stone key. She inserted it into a groove next to the cave and unexpectedly opened the divine dragon boundary. Kong Shinmu, hurry up and leave. Jiang Yuaning lowered her voice and said, I heard that someone wants to kill you. It'll be too late if you don't leave now. Thank you. Kong Shinmu stood up, nodded and said in a deep voice. He believed that Jiang Yuaning would not joke around. Jiang Rong, his uncle, had long disliked him, but he had only obtained the mortal dragon's blood essence, so he did not plan on doing anything to him. But now, he had been promoted to a true dragon. This made him a threat to the father and son, Jiang Rong and Jiang Juanma. If they wanted to kill Jiang Shinwu, they had the motive and possibility to do so. However, they would not do it themselves. After all, if they wanted to become the next patriarch of the Jiang clan, they could not do it themselves. The biggest possibility was that they had hired a professional killer to kill Kong Shinmu. Right now, Jiang Shinwu had nowhere to run. Any dragon warrior with a true dragon's inheritance could easily kill him. It was extremely easy. You must work hard and live on. Your talent is very strong. I look forward to the day you rise and return. As for Auntie, we will take good care of her. They don't have the guts to do anything to her, and there's no need. Zhang Yuaning said to Kong Xinmu. Yes. Kong Xinmu nodded. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.